Hi everyone, Anthony from HashNet here, and welcome to the Transformers After Dark. I think I subtitled it Annoyed and Unapologetic. We're going to get a little salty maybe because we're going to be complaining about a lot of things. So we are short two panelists because of personal reasons, so they'll probably, at least one of them will show up late. With that said, just two quick bits of news and then we'll get into the introductions. First off, last year, Adamantium Matrix informed us that he might be taking his channel offline. He actually officially did last week, so if you go to his YouTube channel, you won't be able to see anything. So he renamed it The Void, so that is the way it is. Just something personal going on in his life, he couldn't do it anymore, so I removed it from the Transformers Reviewers channel, but if you still want to find his page, you can go to the website and it's still listed under hiatus. Second thing, next month's panel will be hosted by Transformers Reviewers channel, or TF Reviewers on YouTube, because we're going to move it off of HNE now that the channel has gotten to the requirement where it could have both a custom username, which is TF Reviewers, and host live streams, so that we're switching to that starting next month. Now, we're going to open up with some introductions. So starting with CrimsonRaptors. They muted themselves. I don't even know if they're here. Okay, there we go. Crimson, tell people who you are and where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube, and you can find me on Instagram. All of that is at Crimson, like the dark red color, Raptors, Raptors, and I do stop motion animations, reviews, unboxings, and little not so much toy hunting, but more kind of like little kind of parody kind of type videos I do on my YouTube. On Twitter, I pretty much do nothing, but whenever I post something there, for whatever reason, it catches a lot of attention. And I don't understand it because I don't do anything over there, but whatever. And then Instagram, normally I do like photos behind the scenes, kind of keeping up with like how my channel is doing and kind of good interaction with the community as a whole, because I'm not on any of the forums or anything like that. So that's kind of where I hang out at. Although I haven't posted anything for a little bit on Instagram because I've kind of been cleaning out my office, getting this stuff, because Unicron's coming, and I've got to get this stuff cleaned and things out of here that I don't need or whatever. And I've got to have the room for him, and I'm going to be really upset if I don't have the room for him and he arrives.
So basically, what you're saying, long story short, if they want to contact you, they need to get out their telegraph and or go visit Western Union.
Exactly, or send it Cybertronian Planet Express. That would work.
Okay. Aaron, tell people about yourself.
Alrighty, guys and gals. I'm Transaaron38. You can find me on YouTube and Instagram as Transaaron38. I did have a Twitter, but I do not do nothing on Twitter, so I don't even mention it much anymore. I do toy reviews, mostly Transformers, Ghostbusters stuff. I'm a Ghostbusters nut. I got cosplays of Ghostbuster and stuff on my charity group and stuff, and we go toy hunting sometimes, and all kinds of cool stuff on my channel. A lot of variety. Okay,
and Sam, go ahead.
Hey there, I'm Sam. I run the channel TF Collector. So if you looking for me on YouTube, it's under that. Mostly do toy reviews. Try to do discussion videos and some more kind of outside the mold things when I can. You can also find me on Facebook at TFMR Collector, all one word. That's where I post photos from the reviews and links to them. I'm also on Instagram at TF_Collector_net, which is another place I post the photos. Also on Twitter at TFMR_Collector. And you can also find me on the fan sites, Sabertron.com, Deformers.com, and TFW2005 as Lore Keeper. So that's where I dwell on the internet.
So I'm Anthony Hasledge for HNE Games. You can find me on HNE Games on YouTube. Also Hasledge.net Enterprises, or HASLAGE.net on the other social media platforms and the website. And so to get into what we're doing here today, basically we're going to bitch about a lot of things, and there's going to be some mild swearing. So there's going to be hate speech, and it's going to be against Hasbro probably, and not anything that'll get us in trouble with YouTube. What?
Or it'll be against Decepticons.
but totally off limits is anything against the Quintessons. You cannot say anything bad about the Quintessons. They rule us all. Okay, so to explain the process, we're going to probably about 90 minutes, and I have a list of topics we'll go over. If you have any questions, first off, you need to be on the HNE Games channel on YouTube. Submit a question, and we will try to answer anything that comes in. You have to tag it to me at HNE Games. And let's see, about 90 minutes in, if we're still going, we'll try to wrap it up or switch to a Q&A format. And hopefully we can get through this without anybody crying. So, yeah. Okay, so that's a hot take from input. But anyway, so our first topic is...
We're going to have to prove them wrong tonight. There's so much hate speech.
So... Crimson and I, at the last panel at the beginning of this month, were talking about funny stories that upset us or confused us about product deliveries and ordering. So I think I'm going to start there. Crimson has interest in one about coworkers and unexpected packages. So we're going to start with Crimson. So go ahead, you can tell us that story, or you can tell us something else about orders missing, misdelivered, or returned items.
Well, I'll say one thing is, so Hasbro Pulse, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, I remember when they were Hasbro Toy Shop, and they would pack stuff pretty well, but if you had a problem with something, they were usually pretty good about it. But if you were missing a piece or something like that, it was like the world had fallen apart. They didn't know what to do. So when Hasbro Pulse came around and started doing their thing, they were shipping out every single figure in its own singular box. So if you were paying for shipping, you pay for each one, right? But if you made one order and had multiple figures, then you only paid shipping once, or if you had their premium thing they came up with later, you didn't have to pay shipping at all. But the problem with that is that they would keep sending individual boxes over and over again, even if you ordered like multiples of them. And it to me, from my perspective as a consumer, if it's, even as just like, thinking about businesses and how that stuff works, I'm like, look, I don't want you to raise prices. Stop wasting money shipping things individually. And they just kept doing it. And so then eventually kind of figured, just as Hasbro Toy Shop was, it really isn't Hasbro. It's a third-party shipping company. And so they just kind of like get things out the door and just send it out from wherever they pick it off, the warehouse or whatever. And so like, even if you ordered something before something else and something else ordered first, right? Let's say you ordered, a Tiger Generation Selects Tiger Track, and then you ordered, a Seacon or whatnot, and the Seacon was your second order, but you got the Seacon first. Stuff like that doesn't really make any sense. So, for example, I had Tiger Tracks, and I forget what the other figure was. I was trying to remember what it was, Anthony, but I couldn't remember. But they had arrived and showed delivered through whatever FedEx did, right? Well, the problem is that my particular like address is very like it's hard to Google, so it doesn't really get you the right place, right? But once you know what address to go to, then it's easy to go to. So it doesn't really make any sense that it would keep getting misdelivered or whatever. But it said it was delivered. Now, what didn't make any sense is I was home at the time it got delivered, and nobody came up to knock on the door, nothing like that. So I'm like, what is going on? And I think ended up what happening is that one of the packages, I think they got delivered to an old folks home. So I never saw that package ever again. And, the old folks home, like, they didn't know where it went. Like, it would have been to who knows where, right? And from what I understand, it never got returned to sender, right? So it's just the weirdest stuff. But I could just imagine some senior citizen, like, getting a Tiger Tracks and just playing with it, just because they could. But that said, when I did contact Hasbro Pulse about it, they were super kind about it. It was just an email because they're not really answering these phone calls, right? But it was just an email, and I said, look, I was supposed to get 2 Tiger tracks. They never showed up. I got this other package. This one arrived, and this one did show up. And so they were just like, oh, yeah, it's an in-stock item. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll ship it out to you, no problem. And then that was it. And I was like, wow, that was easy to deal with. So it seems like if they have an in-stock item, it's really easy to get a replacement for it. But it does get kind of crazy.
Okay. Aaron, experiences with missing orders, missed deliveries, or returns?
Oh, man. I had a Omega Supreme go missing on me last year. Yeah. Supposedly, the tracking number got switched in transit somehow. And this was actually when I ordered from Hasbro. The Pulse, Hasbro Pulse, whenever they had Omega Supreme on sale there. And I contacted them and I was like, hey, what are you going to do about my Omega Supreme? It shows it's been delivered. I was like, but it's not delivered here. So I looked at the track number. It was delivered in Wisconsin somewhere. I'm like, what? So I contacted them, and then they mailed me a replacement the next week. So it's like someone got a free Omega Supreme, and how shame on them. Shame on them for doing something I don't know how the tracking number would have got switched. No idea in transit.
Incompetence, that is what's bringing up the prices. People, there's lack of efficiency and double checking. Any shortcut they can take, that is super annoying.
And I'll say what sucks about that is like, here's kind of the other thing too, because like people, like if you're dealing with neighbors and stuff like that, if you get a package, right, and it's not for you, why would you keep it? You know what I mean? Like, I get free stuff. I get that. I do. But it's not yours. You know what I mean? That's not right. And then the other thing of it is that, okay, so let's say you get a package. You're not paying attention. You open it up. And then you're like, wait a minute. I didn't order a Siege Omega Supreme. Or I didn't order a Generation Select Seacon.
Or I didn't order a pink dildo.
Yeah, something from Bad Dragon, right?
By the way, that was a common error that was happening. People were receiving sexual items during the pandemic because of the way shipping was being handled at Amazon. Yeah.
Well, yeah, people couldn't get out. They had to get satisfied somehow, right?
Was that really happening, or was that just their excuse?
I don't know.
It wasn't mine.
Free dildos for everyone! I did not receive a dildo.
Honestly, it's not mine.
So let's say you get a package, it's not yours, you open it, right? People freak out because they're like, oh no, like I've committed a federal offense, like I've opened up somebody else's mail. No, okay, opening it and keeping it, yeah, okay, federal offense there. Opening it, delivering it to the correct person, or returning to sender is not a federal offense. Like it's just like it's just an accident. It's okay. Don't freak out. Just let it go back. Either return to sender or take it to your neighbor that you know that's down the street. That's kind of what that's what we should be doing now during the pandemic, right? It's kind of, you don't really want to go to your neighbor, right? You don't really want to touch packages. You're leaving them in your garage for 2 weeks before you touch them, right? Because you're freaking out. But it's like still, it's not yours. Like I don't understand. I don't get it. Like I had one that was packaged, like that was sent to me, and like 6 months later, I go to my neighbor's house to go get it, and it's like I was like, well, because there was another package that was misdelivered, right? And I'm like, what is this package? And I open it up, and it was from like 6 months ago. And I'm like, why didn't you just take that to the people? Like, why didn't you take it to me or return it to sender? Like, oh, I'm so mad. So mad.
Okay, so Sam, now, how would you have felt if your Unicron got misdelivered? Like, what would your expression be, man?
Just rage.
I would.
Just nothing.
You would just
rage.
go full chaos.
There'd be a lot of that hate speech going out of my mouth, right there.
Okay, so do you have a story about a order missing, misdelivery, or something you had to return?
Yeah, I do actually have a pretty recent one. I do want to kind of touch on what CrimsonRaptors said though about the Pulse and shipping everything in individual boxes. I noticed that too, and it drives me crazy. I order like 5 items, and they all come in their own box. It seems so weird and inefficient to me.
Well, it's got to be like, was there a sale on smaller boxes?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And honestly, what you're saying about them not really being like Hasbro, I agree, and I hate that like they kind of bill themselves like the ultimate source, like get them here first. I lately have canceled almost every pre-order on Pulse, unless it's something that's like a Pulse exclusive, because everywhere else just gets it first. Yep. Like, how do you bill yourself as like the source for collectors, all that stuff? They're so slow. They have like no hurry about, getting their stuff out. And I hate that, right? Because I had to pay for the stupid premium membership or whatever just so I can get their deals. And then I end up canceling most things because, Amazon or Big Bad Toy Store or CMD or whatever will get them first. So they need to work on that. Like, if they really want to keep getting that $50 a year from people, they really got to actually become the source for, these collectibles.
Definitely.
Yeah, I wanted to... Go ahead.
No. I was saying, it doesn't make any sense. We pay for it, right? And we don't get it first. I thought this was fan first. Like, come
right.
on,
Exactly. It seems like a big scam, honestly. So I just
the savings on the shipping is nice. If you're getting something like a God Neptune and it arrives in a 5.5 foot tall box, which was ridiculous when it got here, by the way, but like it arrives in a 5.5 foot box, and it's like, okay, that's great. But it's like, I'm glad I didn't have to pay the whatever $60 shipping this probably cost, because it's huge.
Yeah. I mean, it will save you on shipping. If you shop there frequently, that $50 will stretch. But yeah, I really am not impressed. I hope they get better, because they were actually pretty good when they first started. When they first started, I actually got stuff pretty quickly, and they just like get slower and slower all the time and take longer to ship stuff to you. My Unicron, I waited forever for that thing. Like, it supposedly shipped on like the 8th, and I just got it. Less than a few days ago. But yeah, not to drift too far off topic, the shipping mishap. So I ordered pre-ordered the RAD figures, the Cheetor and RC from Walmart, and they finally came in stock, and they both shipped the same day. And Cheetor got there pretty quickly. I think he got here on like the 6th or something. I forget, but. The RC, her status never updated past label created. And that wasn't too weird, because sometimes FedEx just drops the ball with their tracking for whatever reason. It gets there anyway. Then after a few days go by, still hasn't shown up, but Cheetor has. I reach out to Walmart, and they're like looking into it, and they're like, well, it doesn't seem that it ever left our warehouse. Like, it basically, they lost it in their warehouse. And I'm like, oh, I mean, I've just been sitting here like an idiot waiting on it. That's cool. Because I called FedEx first. They're like, yeah, we never got that package. So then, I called Walmart, and they just didn't turn it over and managed to get it buried somewhere in the warehouse. So that was really annoying. That was pretty incompetent. I hate Walmart. And I know we're going to talk about like exclusives and stuff later, so I'll save my Walmart rant for that. But
yeah, I hate Walmart too.
I detest I mean, I have a ton of reasons to hate Walmart. I used to work there, and but they did, luckily, the guy that was on customer service, he was actually awesome. And he's like, oh, okay, well, we can attempt to resend it, but it's going to take a while, or I can just cancel it and just do a new one right now, replacement. Like, yeah, do that. And it got there within, they like super express mailed it. Like, I got it in 2 days. It was awesome. So I guess, if you bug them enough, they'll go out of their way for you. But if you just leave them to their own devices, they don't care. They're way too busy making the Waltons all the money. So... yeah.
So piggybacking off of that. So Nemesis Prime, I ordered it when you could order it, like first order it. So I pre-ordered it, and then I got the notice they're going to ship it. So I go check the Walmart's website, they're tracking, hasn't been sent yet. I'm like, okay, whatever. I go back like a couple days later, still hasn't been sent yet. I'm like, well, that's weird. People are already saying they're getting theirs, And then, a couple more days later, it hasn't been sent. And I'm like, okay, well, obviously it's about 2 weeks. I need to call them and find out what the hell's up. And they tell me, oh, well, it's been delivered. And I'm like, what do you mean it's been delivered? The tracking still says it hasn't been shipped yet. They haven't been received by FedEx or whoever. And they're like, yeah. It says it was delivered on this date to your address. I'm like, I have cameras on my porch. Like I could see from 2 different angles who walks on my porch. Nothing was delivered when they said. So I decided to call the FedEx. FedEx said they offloaded it to a third-party company. So I called the third-party company. They're like, well, we don't do tracking. So we don't actually know where it ended up after we got it from FedEx. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, this thing is $60, and you're telling me that I can't have my toy in black Play-Doh? So I called Walmart back, and the dude, really nice, he's like, or no, sorry, it was a chick this time. Chick, real nice. She's like, you know what? What I'll do is cancel your order, and we'll send you another one. I got it in 3 days, the second one. But then 2 weeks later, now we had a snowstorm. About the day or two before I made the phone call to Walmart for them to send a new one, and we had like a foot and a half of snow, and I was just kind of curious because there is a vacant house 4 houses down, where its address is only one number different than mine, and the different number actually fell off the house, so it looks like my address minus one number. So I'm morbidly curious. I'm on the way to the store. I drive down the street real slow, look on their porch, a big, huge ass wet package and a smaller package, which I was expecting that day, sitting on the porch in the open to the environment. And so I call the post office, and the mail carrier lady, she actually met me on the porch because I could have walked on the porch and grabbed the stuff, sure, but then it looks like I'm stealing packages. So the mail lady was out, so they sent her to me because she had delivered the smaller package that I was expecting, because it also said it had been delivered to my house. Obviously, it had not. So I stand like on the sidewalk because I don't, again, walking on a porch. She actually goes on the porch and grabs both packages, hands me the one I was expecting that day, and then she looks at the other package and goes, "Yeah, it's yours." I'm like, it is wet, soaking wet. And it had been sitting outside in the cold. This is winter time for 2 weeks, formerly just covered in snow. It had mold on it because we had like a warm day during that, so it mold already on it. So I just stuck it in my trunk and went to finish shopping because I was on the way to shop. Thanked the lady. So I get to Walmart, and my thought process was, well, they sent me, I got my other one, so I'm all good there. I really don't need a second one. And so my intention was to take it into Walmart and go, hey, found this 2 weeks after the fact, buried in snow. You guys can have it back. And I was like, but wait, what are they going to do with it? Like, if I take it in, they're not going to give me money for it. It was labeled as lost or stolen. Like, so end story. Just make this particular story short, and then I'm gonna run into another one, which it really just boils my biscuits or fries my eggs.
Grinds my gears.
Yes. So essentially, I ended up finding somebody who needed one, who didn't have a Walmart in their area, and I sent it to that guy. So he paid me $20 for shipping, and he got it. That's so somebody got it. To follow up, it was not last year. Yeah, it was, actually, it might have been 2019. I had ordered from Hasbro, what was it? Was it Hasbro? No, I think I ordered, actually, it might have been from Amazon. I ordered a Transformer from the Primordial trilogy, because I'm building combiners. So, I ordered, it was Menasor, it was the helicopter one, Fudge. Maybe it was, it was not Menasor, it was, the gray helicopter.
Bruticus?
Bruticus, helicopter.
Vortex, yeah.
Vortex.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So, ordered him, I got a message saying it had been delivered, I walk outside, nothing. So I check the camera, nothing. I go off and call, you know what, I'm starting to realize these problems are all FedEx. Call FedEx, go, hey.
FedEx is the worst carrier.
FedEx says, oh yeah, we delivered it. And I said, well, it's obviously not here. Can you check the GPS? Because all their vehicles are tracked. Check the GPS and tell me where it ended up. And the guy goes, dude, he delivered it a block over. I'm like, what? Like, literally, my address, but on a different street. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go and check. Now the package was delivered like days ago. I don't know why I drug my feet. Yeah. Anyway, so I go to the house on the other side of the block, and this lady answers the door, and I go, "Hey, a package was supposedly delivered here last week. They say it was dropped off to you. You signed for it. I know this family's names now because of this. Anyway, she goes back in. I hear kind of like scream yelling, that, oh my God, he's here. What do we do? And I'm like,
Right?
I'm starting to get pissed. I'm like fuming. I'm like, oh my God, what did they do? Lady comes back out, package busted open. The toy luckily was still sealed in its blister. And I'm like, oh, great, you have it. Thanks. Don't punch you in the face. Don't punch her in the face. Don't punch her in the face. So thank you. See ya. And I walked away. I'm like, oh, God. So what were they planning? I don't know. But
I bet their kid got a hold of it.
Oh, God.
Probably saw a toy, ripped it open. That's why it all messed up.
I was just, which is funny. FedEx delivered a package to the other side of town with the same address as mine because they're on east, and I'm on east and they're on west. So this is not uncommon. This happens here. But I'm going to speak positively about Hasbro Pulse for a sec. Back in Prime Wars, it may have been still Hasbro Toy Store. I'd gotten Overlord, and Overlord was missing a fin. So they legit sent me the entire repaint of Overlord, his brother, whatever it's called.
Black Shadow or
something Shadow. Yeah. So they sent me him. For all I was missing was a little bit of a wing that goes on the back of the foot. Sent me the whole toy. I'm like, what? That is awesome customer service when it works. The other thing was back before they started doing premium. Hasbro Pulse. I used to, when I'd order, I'd get all my items in one package whenever they were, because they did everything in one order number. Now they split everything off into separate orders, which is why I think we get everything the way we get them. So that, and here we go. Okay, so the next topic is most disappointing toy buys. So to preface this, basically you go to whatever store, maybe you're ordering it online, you're expecting this toy, you finally get it in your hands, and you're devastated at the quality or the way it looks or something. So starting with Crimson, tell me if you've had that experience and what it was.
So, is it kind of like something like that you thought was going to be good?
Siege Ironhide, for example, Siege Ironhide, I got it. I was like, sweet, a real Ironhide. I don't have an Ironhide. I want an Ironhide. Disappointed because the panels don't stay on. Disappointed because when I transform them, pieces like to fall off. So like that.
So I can't think of one more as recent as that, because I didn't really have that problem with my Ironhide. I know a lot of people did. But I ended up buying 2 Ironhides, and neither one of those had that issue. Ratchet, I think one of the Ratchets I bought kind of had that, but I would say one that I had an issue with recently was the Earthrise Conehead. So the Dirge and Ramjet that came together. And so when I was taking them out of the package, the Dirge kind of had like a big old like paint splotch or whatever on it, like scraping on its wing and then a paint splotch on its leg. And I really don't like that kind of stuff, because if it's paint, extra paint, it's okay. I can take that with a little bit of wear and alcohol, no problem. But when it's actually like a mark or lack of paint that I can't match on a figure, then that kind of bothers me. Luckily, I had ordered multiples of those Earthrise Coneheads, so I was able to kind of just swap out the leg, because everything else about the figure was great, and I didn't want to take the chance of messing up with another one. So, but the problem was that the Coneheads were really hard to get, and they're hard to get now, and they're ridiculously priced. But out of all of those, nothing takes the cake other than getting Earthrise RC. Now, I saw a review and I knew it was going to be terrible, but I didn't know it was going to be as terrible in the end. And I get that Earthrise RC. Now, I have the Takara Legends and the LG10 RC, which is beautiful. Everybody go buy that one. But I also have the Hasbro one. There's two versions. There's an open hand and a kind of a closed one because they kind of had a running change. But those are cool too. If you can't find the Takara Legend ones, get the Hasbro ones. There's like a million of them out there, and they're like a dime a dozen. You get up to pretty much at every toy, like vintage toy shop you can find, if not online. Don't go to eBay though; everybody's scalping that. So, but Earthrise RC, I get that figure, and first of all, she has no lipstick. That's kind of like Megatron coming without a cannon. That's Optimus Prime coming without a silver crest of some kind. Like, that's pretty important for RC to have a lipstick because she specifically has that. So that's not on the figure. So she looks really weird. In addition to that, like, I can deal with the pink toes. They really should be gray, but I can deal with the pink toes. But the backside of her is terrible. And if you compare it to the Thrilling 30 RC, like, this one is vastly inferior. Yes, it has ankle pivot, you know, even though it's kind of scary to break it open to try to work it. But she literally has no transformation. She's like, fold the legs up in a weird kind of origami and put her on the ground, and she's done. And it's like, this isn't even a transformer. Like, what is going on here? So that was very disappointing. And I don't know how I ended up with 3 of her, whatever. Mainly because I was going to run one over with my car and then donate the other 2 to charity, but I decided not to do that kind of negative kind of video on my channel, even though I still want to do it. Everybody keeps telling me, "Oh, do it," you know. But I like, that's not the attention I want. So, but it is a terrible figure, and now everybody's kind of coming around to that side that it is really bad. The new has worn off. So
I think
I would say Earthrise.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, I think RC, like in a robot mode, it looks good. Like it's a good action figure when you got the extra backpack piece taken off. But she's a terrible transformer. She's
terrible
transformer. Just fails as a transformer. So if you're like, you want her just to look nice on your shelf, she's good for that. That's
you can even take the whole car mode off, sell it for $15 on eBay, which apparently people are doing, and just getting the add-on kit that gets the little third-party add-on kit that gets the little wings.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
That looks way better. Wow, you're about to convince me to go third party, man.
Now,
like so much better.
Now, of that same token, the Alita 1 figure is awesome. It just looks better than the RC one, and even that, like, I took the add-on and did that to her, and then eventually I'm going to make this G1, so she's going to be all pink. But, yeah, I mean, the Alita 1 looks better. The figure, the form, and everything, like, it just kind of matches. Like, this should be white. Shouldn't be brown, but, you know. And then I got the filler kits. So she doesn't look as bad. Had a little more detail on it, like how the front has detail, but you know, you can always 3D print and make our own. But, yeah, it's the Alita 1 is a great figure, and I don't really see her transforming very often, at least for my purposes. Yeah, see, that looks really good. Transforming.
That's right, Aaron. Show that ass.
She twerking it. Ooh. But yeah, so if people see Alita, look, she's clogging shelves right now at Walmart. Buy the Alita. Don't support RC, and don't support Kingdom RC. Don't support Repop like that.
Yeah. I really hate how badly that Alita is shelf warming too, because I think she's the best use of that mold by far.
Yeah.
But I think she's too obscure for a lot of people. The girl Transformers don't tend to sell as well. It sucks. Like my Walmart is all Alita and Wheeljack. That's all I got.
Well, Wheeljack makes sense because he's been released like 4 times.
Right.
So.
And then they're going to do it again in Kingdom too, because why not?
I know. I can't believe, like, give us a Pterosaur. Don't give us another Wheeljack.
Yeah.
That is just insane.
Oh,
that shop is terrible.
One thing I did want to say is that so RC sells pretty well, right? She's a pink Transformer, but Alita 1, what if they had made her pink like she was in G1? Are you saying that now pink Transformers sell? So So it's like the exact opposite of what marketing says back in the 80s and 90s. Like, so now pink sells because everybody's into pink. Like,
I think it's more so that RC is just a lot more well-known character. She was in the movie and everything, and she keeps popping up in media. Alita, until the Netflix trilogy, has had like no media exposure since G1, and I think that's a big part of it. Casual fans just have no clue who she is.
and her Power of the Prime figure was not very good.
I actually like it.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I like it
it's a lot better
too.
than the Starscream that it's built from.
I think it
yeah,
was
for
rebuilt
sure.
from.
way better than the Space.
I thought it was rebuilt from Blur.
No, the Power of the
No.
Prime's Alita is the combiner torso one. The one that
Oh,
has
Alita.
the-
I'm thinking RC. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, you were thinking.
But I do
Hascon
like the
RC
Alita.
or Nautica. Nautica is also.
Oh well, they made like multiple, but I was like the Elita one from Prime Wars forms Orthia.
Orthia, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Orthia combiner. Yeah.
Okay, Aaron, your turn. Disappointing toy buys.
Well, we touched up on RC, so I already beat that to it. But the next one is like one of the recent reviews I did a couple weeks back, maybe last month, is this figure right here. The wings pop off on this, and it drives me nuts.
The back wings, though, the fins.
I have the same problem.
Yeah,
It's the wings that on the back on here
right, the fins.
that they just flop off. As soon as you touch it, they fall off. And I'm like, son of a. It's like every time I did it in my review, I was like, damn things need to stay on.
Yeah,
I don't know why they didn't put a hint, like a pin through them, like a pin or something. It would have been logic, but you know.
They should
One of mine
have.
flops around too. One doesn't like to stay up.
Yeah, they flop around. It's like whenever he's in jet mode, whenever you just go try to do the whooshing kind of thing, go just like you flying.
Flops,
But
yeah.
it's like they just dropped. I was like, what the hell?
It is as bad as a SpaceX shuttle leaving at orbit. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Okay, so Sam, disappointing toy buys.
I can give a few recent ones. Earthrise Double Dealer, just because of the really bad QC.
The knees on mine just the legs keep popping off.
The
Yeah.
knees and the fact that the elbows, at least in most cases I've heard, are just like not load bearing at all. Like he's got the double jointed elbows, and that top hinge right there just flops. Like I can't make him hold his cannon up. So he's pretty much unplayable. Like all you can do is like pose him like holding his gun to the ground because I don't know. They really messed it up, which is a shame because otherwise it's a great design. It's a fantastic figure. I think it's a perfect update. They just really needed to hammer out the QC better.
Yeah, I mean, plus there's drugs that can help you keep your cannon up, but apparently they didn't get any.
And come packaged with the blue pills.
just don't take them from Wheeljack. Wheeljack doesn't have the right pills.
Yeah.
They'll make the thing explode.
Let's see. There was one. Let's see the one I had in mind. Is another recent purchase that just had really terrible QC.
Have you had Transaaron? You had problems with Bumblebee. TF Collector, did you have any problems with getting the Netflix Bumblebee, or
With obtaining it, or just with the figure itself?
no? Like, I think I remember Transaaron saying something. There was something wrong with the thighs or something. You remember?
Oh,
that
you're talking about it was between Wheeljack and the two twins, Run Amok and Runabout. When you turn the mushroom peg, they would just pop right off. It's like they didn't clip the extra access off the mushroom peg. Whenever you swivel, it just pops the whole damn leg off.
Yeah, the flashing on when they got them off the screen and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. The only issue I've had with Bumblebee is my son's copy, because I managed to find one for him. The tolerance is messed up on his to where the little cannon pieces, they don't slide into his shoulder very well. It's like either the slot's molded too small or the tab's molded too big. Other than that, I haven't had any real issues. The backpack's really loose on his too. It like kind of spins freely.
I mean, speaking of Bumblebee and Studio Series Hot Rod, the gaps are annoying.
Yeah.
I think Hot Rod really overrated. Like he looks
There's a
good
problem with
until you try it.
There's a problem with Hot Rod, the studio.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Hot Rod?
Not like a QC thing. Just I think his actual design itself is they really over-engineered him, and the downside is his posability is really lacking, especially in the arms. His arms, the way that they're kind of mounted onto his body, they don't move the way that they really should. And I don't know, I'm not really super crazy about him. Mine's got some weird tolerance issues where not everything likes to stay pegged in very well.
See, I know that
it's good, but not $30 good in my opinion.
Yeah, I know that Kato's collection had an issue with one of his one of the fenders or whatever wouldn't go all the way down, so it looked like he was been beat up by a Shokukan. But I just kind of, they're sometimes I don't know if it's sometimes just because of customizing or being building Gundam plastic model kits, stuff like that. Like, you can trim down a little bit if there's flashing and stuff. Like, I think even Roland Redneck Reviews did his I can't think of the name of it, but he did something like where he was fixing like the Siege Ironhide, so that it would tab together. Yeah. And I can't remember what the name of that series is. I can't. He says it all the time. Now's the time I forget it, right? So I'm sorry, Triple R. Listen to this later. But the Redneck Engineering. That's what it is. Redneck Engineering. Yeah,
I was going to say.
I remember. But like on stuff like that, like I'm wondering if the hot rod it's maybe got extra flashing on it and then we'll snap together, because I bought multiple versions of him because I wanted him in different like poses and stuff, like shooting at the shuttle, holding the matrix, and then in his vehicle mode, and all three of them have no issues with tolerance. So I don't know if it's just kind of like somebody's not. I really don't think they're doing QC checking at all with the Vietnam facility. And from what we understand, that really is what's not, because it's because of the pandemic and everything. Like, they're just like, oh, just do good at work today, and do your job, and then you'll never see those QC supervisors again.
So. Just like on the Siege, one thing on the Siege when I reviewed this Ironhide repaint, the panels they still do pop off. They do pop off easy.
Even still, huh?
Yep.
It's a shame.
Yeah, I feel like this one, I'll. Nothing wrong with that one. And then this one slides in. Nothing wrong with that one. So I don't know. It's just kind of so random, right? I think also it has a lot to do with temperature. Because if you're in a high humidity area, or you're in a cold area, or you're in a really hot kind of area, like I think a lot of that has, like all these lights I have, these are all LEDs, so they don't generate a lot of heat by themselves. But I know a lot of those like photography bulbs and stuff do. So I'm wondering if sometimes that plays a big effect in kind of what happens when you're messing with our figures, or in a particular room. Like, hey, it works great in this room, but it doesn't work in the other room.
True that.
Okay.
Yeah, I know my son's Ironhide doesn't have the panel popping off issue, but mine does. It seems to be like a luck of the draw thing. Just what your tolerance are.
Crimson and Aaron, I'm going to steal one of your black Ironhides. We're not going to call it an army drone, right? Just I'm going to take it through the screen. Just.
Well, this
like
is
Wonka,
okay.
Like Wonka Vision.
Because go ahead.
This is Ironhide, right? Where he's just like, no, and then Megatron shoots him, and he's like, this is the such heroic nonsense Ironhide. Dead Ironhide.
Okay, so because I want to get to exclusivity, but we're going to do it after this next topic, and starting with Sam. Okay. Most unexpectedly good toy buy. Like, you bought something, you weren't expecting much from it, but then you're like, holy crap.
Let's see. It's hard to be surprised anymore because there's so many reviews that come out before the toys, release stateside. Because you got the foreign reviewers, and you have the dirty thieving reviewers.
Right?
I'm not going to pull punches on those guys. They know what they're doing.
Oh yeah.
But let's see. I remember liking the battle chargers a lot more than I thought I would. They looked very plain and boring from photos, and actually getting them in hand, I'm like, wow, these guys are actually really fun. Their tolerances are really great, posability, like really, really good little transformers. And I was even able to look past the fake windshield part that I'm not normally a fan of. I'm not crazy about fake parts unless like absolutely necessary. But they pull it off well. They hide all their extra things away very well, so it's not that bad. And they look great. The execution's awesome. Let's see what. Oh, Inferno. Inferno. I love that toy. I just reviewed him recently. Yeah, and he is such an improvement over Grapple. You know, for one, he won't break. No
Your live stream, you broke the tab. I remember that.
I was so mad because I mean I'm like super careful. Like when I would separate him, I mean the slightest little movements rocking back and forth. But apparently, if you just do it enough times, he'll just break no matter what. That plastic is not meant for that stress. Inferno really just improves on him in every way. The colors, the paint, the accessories. I love it. Yeah, that is a fantastic toy. And I never liked the design. You know, I always thought Inferno and Grapple were really goofy looking. And then getting him in hand, I'm like, this is awesome. This is a solid freaking Transformer. Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy. I love that they fixed the tab issue because it would just kill me if he broke. And I hope going forward, if they do any more redecos of him or Grapple especially, that they fix that. Like I hope, you know, if they do a haul or something, they just fix that area. Just, I don't know if they want to use Inferno's, you know, molding or what, but we can't have another breaking figure like that. I thought we were past those days, you know, where a figure was just inherently going to break eventually, kind of like the old Wreck-Gar toy. So, yeah. That's probably my most pleasantly surprised one. I found myself really being very surprised by him. So.
Okay, so Aaron.
Between what was it, the Kingdom Optimus Primal? Because I was like, man, he's like, I was thinking it was like he was going to be like a crappy toy, and I actually really enjoyed getting him. It was like really getting him in hand, and I was like, oh my, I was like just blown away from it. And there was another one. There was three figures. The Cyberverse. I don't know if you guys ever collect any of the Cyberverse stuff, like the Bumblebee Cyberverse Adventures. Well, I got the Soundwave, Starscream, and the Prowl that just came out there a while back. I was like, I got them. I was like, just to see how they were, and it was like I wasn't really expecting to look on Prowl, but Prowl is a really, really nice figure out of all of that, and Soundwave pulled it off pretty good too.
Yeah, I agree on the Prowl. I love his colors. It's so different from like the usual just black and white that we get. I like the new Prowl a lot.
And then the Starscream really surprised me too. How he folds his wings and stuff. How he transformed and folds his whole body. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like the first good Starscream they've done for Cyberverse. He's like notoriously the worst one.
Yeah, I don't collect any of the bubble boxes ones on cards. I collect the ones in the deluxe boxes. Mm. But that's all the ones I can think of.
Okay, Crimson, unexpectedly good buys.
So I didn't really think too much of like when Earthrise Cliff Jumper was going to come out, and I was like, yeah, it looks like Cliff Jumper, but it's like that car mode. It's not the Penny Racer. You know, it's not going to look good. It's going to be small. It's going to be, you know, it's already overpriced, right? When I got that figure, I was like, whoa, no. There's wrist swivel. There's like next to no hollowness that's noticeable. His feet, like, they may seem like clown feet, but everything folds in correctly. Like, and, you know, the parts forming thing doesn't really bother me because, you know, I grew up in the Generation 2 era, right? In the Generation 1 toys, there's parts forming all over the place. It's nice when they don't parts form, but you can transform Cliff Jumper without having to really parts form it too much. And then there's a little add-on thing you can get for it too, right? But it's just like everything about that Cliff Jumper, the posability was just out of this world. And I thought the Brawn from, I don't know, Titan's Return or whatnot was really good. You know, I thought the Generations Gears, you know, was really good. And I was just blown away by Cliff Jumper. I couldn't believe how much articulation was in this little tiny figure. It's just shorter than Reflector. Mm. You know, like, how's that even possible? Like, and Reflector on the back of him, everything's hollow, right? But that's not the case with Cliff Jumper. He's just an all-around really good figure. and he works really well. I mean, it's like that. Whoever designed that, like, because it definitely has like a almost a masterpiece type of idea of engineering to it, and it's like that probably was an old masterpiece design they thought about doing. Maybe that's why it's so good and some of the other ones aren't. The cliff jumper is really good for Earthrise. And it's the Bumblebee from Netflix, much better too.
I was trying to think of like one that I got that I was like not optimistic about, but I'm like, well, first off, I really enjoy Skylinks. I had a because I played with the original motorized one back in the 80s. I honestly that's the level of, this is how it's going to be, but the base mode means almost nothing to me, but the fact that just like holding it in my hand, it feels substantial. It does everything the old one used to do. It looks better. I feel like it was probably one of the best buys I've made. Although I also say I bought Nemesis Prime with little expectation because I hate the Siege Optimus mold. But I don't know what it is about the color scheme. It's just it really sells me on it. And to have a Siege Nemesis Prime and an Earthrise Optimus Prime, it works for me. I really enjoyed Earthrise Optimus Prime because I have the classic, the G2 one. And all I expect out of Optimus Prime is that his arms fold in and his legs come out. That is it. So anything on Optimus Prime is better than that. I'm cool with. I just, again, I'm going to start going into complaining, and I don't want to do that. But we're going to move into exclusivity. Right now, on exclusivity, especially Netflix, I really would like to have the drone, the DCS Army drone, but I haven't been able to find them in stores yet. And right now they're selling on eBay for about $35. Now, I've seen bidding ones that are like $30-ish, but of course you got to wait for, see, last minute somebody's going to start tabbing their buy buttons and the price is going to skyrocket. But $35 buy it now is generally about where it's at. And I would like to have it. It's not a requirement for me because I didn't enjoy the mold when it was an Ironhide very much. But then I'd also would love to have B-127 from the movie for Studio Series, but that's also very elusive to me. But the problem with exclusivity is also that limited purchasing locations, they do these weird gimmicks, which we'll get into in a little bit, but like, you have to buy the whole freaking thing to get this. And I'm still missing pieces, but I didn't buy those figures. Now I have to ask, Aaron and Crimson, you got you got stuff from the newest wave of Netflix. Did it come with more pieces?
So it doesn't.
Okay.
No.
So the two I didn't buy are the last two for this thing here. But starting with Sam, exclusivity. What are your thoughts on it? And I also want to add that Hasbro Pulse's exclusivity. I have to say I've only had good experiences with like the pit. But understanding that Unicron took like weeks, months, sometimes even a year. I don't know. How long was Unicron's campaign? That is a long time to do it.
Yeah.
That was what, October 2019? October, November
2019? But my personal experience with getting the exclusives from Hasbro Pulse has been spectacular. But anyway, starting with Sam, go ahead and tell us about your exclusivity opinions.
So I don't think exclusivity in of itself is a bad thing. I think there are some benefits to it because it does allow toys to get made that otherwise they just wouldn't, right? Because it might be too obscure, or they just don't have enough spots. We saw that, exclusives basically bailed out the Earthrise line because, COVID and, a lot of toys, like the whole fourth wave got dropped, and the only way they were able to get released is by exclusives. Of course, there's the downside, like you said, of limited, purchasing avenues, right? You got to get it from the one store. So experience really depends on who the exclusive carrier is. Like you said, Pulse is very reliable. I don't hear too many issues. Amazon, it seems as long as you're quick to get your pre-order in, it's not an issue. It's usually the people that wait a little bit to try and pre-order that tend to, have their stuff never get fulfilled or get canceled on them. So your purchasing power, I think, plays a big part too. If you're a person that can afford to just, as soon as something's announced, pre-order it, not have to worry about money, exclusives aren't that big a deal. But I can also understand where somebody's like, they have to be a little more selective and may have to wait a bit. They'll usually find themselves out in the cold, so it can be frustrating too. Yep. And then like the bottom end of the spectrum, and that is Walmart. I think Walmart is just the most trash place, whether it's online, in store. They don't stock their stores worth a damn. Their website is basically pointless, and any pre-order date you see on there is probably going to be moved back at least 5 times before your thing ships, if it ever ships.
Yeah, like Nemesis Prime moved back 3 times, I think. Yeah,
I had a lot of stuff. So I was like, when Netflix Wave 2 was announced, I was on it, right? Like, it's as soon as the listings came up, right? So I was like, within the first 100 to 1,000 people probably that pre-order these things. And like half my pre-orders got canceled just randomly at different times. So there's no rhyme or reason. It's not like they if they realize they oversold it, they cancel like the last however many. Like, it's just random, just whoever they feel like canceling. They're super unreliable, and then their stores again are just trash. And that, I know that varies by your location. There's some Walmarts that are better than others. I live in Kentucky currently, and the stores near like the state border and like Louisville tend to get everything first, and then in my area, we'll see it eventually, maybe if they bother stocking it. Like, we haven't seen any of the Netflix stuff at all in my area, and I haven't even seen the Wave 2 Headmasters. I did just get them, and that's only because I managed to network with somebody that lives closer to like the state border, and he sent them to me. In exchange, I sent him a Kingdom Ultra Magnus. Target's also kind of a pain. They're not very good at guarding themselves against bots and stuff and scalpers, so they tend to sell out quickly. And trying to find their exclusives in stores is usually really hard unless you get lucky, because they have a lot of in-store scalpers, a lot of employees and managers that steal stuff. I know it's been real bad with the G.I. Joe toys. I don't collect them, but a lot of people I talk, like, I've never seen the Classified? Is that like the new 6-inch figure series?
Right.
I have never laid eyes on a Classified figure, ever. They're always all gone. Every Walmart, I don't collect them, but like, I've just noticed, I walk by the section, it's always empty perpetually. I mean, they just get scalped and scooped up so quickly, you never even see them. So, I think exclusivity can be good if it's handled well. And unfortunately, because we've lost them, like especially with the loss of Toys R Us, we have to depend on vendors that aren't really, focused on toys, so they don't usually care enough to make sure that the experience is good. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement with them.
Yeah, I found a scalper that's here in Ohio. He sells in mass the Walmart exclusives. He's also the cheapest right now that I found on eBay earlier today, but it's depressing because it makes me wonder, because I'm only about an hour from where he is, it makes me wonder if he drives into my area and clears out my stores.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, he probably does.
I have people near me that actually clears out my stores and sells the Skywarp and Thundercracker 2-packs for $100 a piece.
I've seen them for $200 on certain websites. But anyway, Aaron, go ahead and tell us about your feelings on exclusivity.
Well, it's like definitely Amazon, but Amazon actually came through for me on the new the rescue set, the base set. My order was canceled, and then thanks to Larkin and Input, they say, "Yo, hey, Transaaron, hurry up and order this." There's that one. I'm like half asleep from third shift. I'm like, push by and went back to sleep, and my order was confirmed. I was like, I was super excited about that. But there's multiple times I got canceled for the Ironhide pack, the Ironhide and Prow, and what was the other pack? Ratchet and the Paradon drone. Lifeline 2-pack. I got canceled on those, and I pre-ordered them like fairly early, not like right away, but early. I didn't wait till like a month before, like it was supposed to come out, but they just got canceled, and it was like, and like I said, Amazon works in strange ways on that. But Walmart, my Walmarts just suck around the area. There's like a lot of collectors in my area. It's like they scalp them and they put them up on the internet and stuff. So it's like it's pretty hard, especially with the GI Joe stuff. I was like, I never see any GI Joe stuff in stores, and when I do, I grab it and then I help local collectors out. The only ones I've been seeing lately was the Roadblock and Cobra Commander. It was like, but that was like, they're really, really hard to find, especially the Transformers Netflix. They never hit my stores yet. The new wave. My one buddy Roundhead hooked me up with the whole wave of the new wave of Netflix.
Lucky.
See, I'm starting to kind of track where you guys say you see them in stores, like on the Discord. So, like, I think somebody in the Midwest said they've seen them in their stores. So on Tuesday, I'm going to go hunting, and hopefully I'll find the drone, or the drone, the DCS Army drone, yes. And then probably, hopefully at Target, B-127, because our Walmarts don't really carry any Studio Series. It's weird.
No, they don't anymore. They don't, except for the 86 stuff.
Yeah, so I just haven't, like, they have the leader. Typically, they have the leader class Studio Series, but then nothing else. But Target has everything.
They had the Bayverse Constructicon, what it was, an Overload. Like, that thing was overflowing everywhere, every Walmart I went. Like, they ordered way too many. And, it was probably like the last one everybody needed, but they didn't need to order that many.
Yeah. My Walmart actually has a ton of the Grimlocks right now. I can't believe it. They got the whole shelf space full, and there's a bunch up on the high-rise thing, whatever you call it. I forget what they call that. I'm shocked, and it makes me worry. Like, I hate to see like the best G1 Grimlock we've ever had shelf form like that, because maybe he has for my pull plans to do the other Dinobots.
I'll tell you why that is because we that are in the know, we know that the other Dinobots are coming. We know that Slag is coming with a Daniel. We know that those are coming. Yeah. But the people that are kind of don't keep up with any of the news and stuff like that, they're just kind of walking around like, oh, Grimlock, yeah, but I'll wait until they get all 5 of them or whatnot. And that's because that's what happens is once they know they're going to make them all, then those will all disappear.
It's just $250 to collect all the Dinobots. That is a lot of money.
Good. It is a lot of money, but it's the Dinobots, right?
As long as they're worth it, as long as you're getting your money's worth, I'm okay with it.
Supposedly, Grimlock's on clearance right now for like $32 casual toy. He spotted in his Walmart. He was mobile of them like for $33 on clearance already.
Yeah, I was trying to remember where I saw like 6 Grimlocks. I just cannot remember which store it was, Target or Walmart. So. I ordered him online at Target, and I got him like on the 3rd of March, or February, whatever month it came out, I don't remember. So Crimson exclusives.
So I agree with like what TF Collector was saying, because that's the whole thing. Like the exclusives with like Target and Amazon and everything. Like, I mean, the pandemic was unprecedented. We couldn't ever have thought this was going to happen like this. 2020 was going to be like that. Hasbro couldn't predict it. The car couldn't predict it, right? And so they were like, okay, look, there's not going to be a lot of foot traffic. These first wave of Earthrise are probably not going to sell well. So then they were like, okay, well, we got all these exclusives lined up with, we got the Walgreens, we got that good because usually the Walgreens version is really good. Target, with the collapse of Toys R Us, then Target was kind of like trying to create their own little toy section that's in the stores. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them had like their own little toy section, and that was in addition to their normal toy selection, right? And so then you kind of had like this was going to be the only way we were going to get these figures. Now we can debate all day long about should Ratchet be an exclusive figure, should Skywarp be an exclusive figure, should Dirge and Thrust and Ramjet and like those it's all dependent on, look, they didn't want to cancel these. This was the only way they were going to get made. And if they're in limited numbers, that sucks. But when you, like, Hasbro doesn't necessarily, from what I've understood how their Transformers brand work, they don't own factories. They have factories that produce figures and toys for them, and they will, like, contract out certain times, right? Like, say they have, like, okay, this 3 weeks or whatever, and they're going to run all these figures, right? And then they get the molds already prepared and all that stuff. Now, Takara owns all those molds, and so they all have their deals and stuff with it too. So let's say you have an entire run of Studio Series, let's be better, an entire run of Target exclusive thrusts. And you get them all shipped, they get packaged, bam, they're heading over the ocean, and then the boat collapses. Well, and it goes in the ocean, right? Because they had a freighter, they had 40 container ships, or 40 containers that fell into the ocean. Those probably had the majority of the Earthrise Target exclusive thrust. I'm pretty sure of that, because thrust was in very small places, and that if it's exclusive and Target has it, they're usually like, okay, look, we're going to have it like everywhere because we're the ones that have it. But to see thrust so few and far between doesn't really make any sense. Can't prove it, but I'm telling you that there's a bunch of thrust at the bottom of the ocean. That said, Hasbro also can't just turn right around and say, hey, we lost these in the ocean, can you run us another run? Yeah, we'll do it in about 6 months or whatever when the factory's cleared to run another run. Well, by that time, the agreement with Target might have lapsed for that particular figure. The toy lines might have changed, right? Because it would be into the summer of the following year. So it's kind of like, well, it's just a loss. So that's how that works. And then you got just so many that are out there that people that want them, but then they're not able to get them now because they're in the ocean. Now, Amazon. With that said, Amazon's usually pretty good about exclusives. I've never had a single problem with Amazon. I had a problem with Target because they canceled my thrust order because I didn't reply to an email that they sent me that went to my spam folder on a Tuesday, literally on a Tuesday. And then the following Tuesday, like, oh, hey, by the way, we're canceling your thrust order. And I was like, what? So I go look at the email that Target had sent me, and it says, hey, go ahead and click this button if you want us to keep this pre-order. And I'm like, what? Who does that? If I pre-ordered it, of course I want it. If I don't want it, I'm going to cancel it. Otherwise, keep the pre-order. So I think that leads credence to they fell in the ocean, and this was Target's runabout way of canceling with a bunch of people, because it didn't just happen to me. But with Amazon, though, usually they order a ton of stuff. But if there's so many pre-orders, right? I've never had a pre-order canceled with Amazon. I usually do not pre-order right when it happens. I did for a couple of things because I got aware of it, but then as time went on with like a lot of the Earthrise stuff, Siege I didn't have a problem with, but with Earthrise, I started noticing where they would say pre-order sold out, and then it would come back, and then it would sell out, and then it would come back. So that I have seen in more recent era with this last wave of Earthrise stuff. The Galactic Odyssey, I'm sorry, they're one. But I've never had them ever cancel one on me, unless the thing that I have seen is that, okay, like I put the wrong card on it, right? And they're just like, hey, there's a problem with this. And I was like, oh, crap, I got to swap the card out for the right one. And I think maybe people, and I'm not saying this happens to everybody, right? But I think sometimes when it's canceled, they get that notification, but they don't get the notification to go change their card, and they forgot they put it on the wrong one, clicked one. I mean, it happens. Like, we're doing this stuff on their phone. We're doing this stuff on the computer. Like, there's many different ways to click stuff. And I think that causes that because I've never known them to outright cancel something. Because I've had stuff out from Jurassic World, and I was waiting for
Daughter?
Yeah, Ron Howard's daughter, right? And,
Oh, is she? I didn't
Claire.
know that.
Yep.
Yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard is she's Claire. She plays Claire in Jurassic World. I had that thing on, like, it was in stock, and then I had a pre-order. I pre-ordered it for probably a year and a half, because they're waiting for Mattel's next production run. And then this is before the pandemic, right? So they're waiting for that next production run, or because Amazon's not going to go out and they're not going to go to vintage shops. They're not going to do like Hobbylink Japan does, run around Japanese stores. They're not going to do what the Best Toy Store does, and have people out with different area codes and getting stuff, as for filler stock, right? They're not going to be doing that kind of stuff. So they're waiting for another production run. And I think that that's kind of what's caused some of those issues with there's only so many. Now, I would say I would get upset if, like, I pre-ordered it, they cancel it, right? And then Hasbro says, yeah, we're discontinuing that. But I think that's kind of that's not what's happening at Amazon. Because there are third-party that you can get in the marketplace you can pre-order from as well. I don't think that should be allowed at all, because that just confuses consumers. Because then they get all upset that, Toy Arena or Toy Dojo or whoever didn't send the pre-order when Amazon got it in stock, right? So, like, why blame them? Like, everybody's going to be mad at Amazon, but they're not going to be mad at, like, and those two places are great places, but they're not going to be mad at, like, the actual place that's causing the problem.
Personally, I've never had an order canceled for Transformers. I back 5 years ago, I think Amazon canceled an order, but it was for something else. What I get is basically the reschedule or the pushback. Like, I have an order now that was pushed back till May. It was supposed to come out in the 1st of April. And then the only somewhat related issue would be Hasbro Pulse. My credit card expired and had to add the information back, and that is legit it. Although, and just a heads up for anybody who doesn't know, if you do order through Hasbro Pulse, if you need to change your credit card information for any order, you actually have to manually change it for each item in that order. You cannot just blanket change it. I found out the hard way when I received a message saying that they couldn't process my payment. So it is stupid, but they tell me the reason why they did it is so different people can pay for people's orders. And I'm like, but they would have to have access to the account. That makes no sense unless people are using other people's credit card information. Whatever. So, but they also don't want to have your information saved anywhere, so you just supply it, because they don't want anybody. You don't want to get hacked and then your information gets out in the ether. Because once you submit your order, the stuff gets instantly encrypted, and there is it's attached to the item, and that is it. There is nothing for them to look at. Oh, all right. So our next topic is pack-in gimmicks, and I mentioned this earlier. These lovely dioramas and the like, or the cards. I actually have a list of some of them. So the Studio Series dioramas, basically the cardboard that the figure comes in. There's the Prime Wars comics, and then they switched to cards after comics. Then we have the Earthrise Star Map. What the hell is that about? Then this thing from Netflix, which they did in the first 2 waves apparently, not in the third. And then we have the collectible cards from Kingdom, which Saint Kato has said this. I think other people have said this. I hate the fact that the cards are not attached to the specific person in which they're for.
Exactly.
I now have 3 arcs, 3 Black Arachnias. I don't even show my camera anymore when I do a review because it doesn't matter. I'm like, there was a card, whoop-de-doo, moving on.
That's what I've been doing.
Yep.
If it's a repeat, I just don't show that part.
Yeah, I don't even bother. So starting with Crimson, let's talk about the gimmicks that they throw into these boxes. Ones that you liked and ones that you did not like. If there are any you did not, or any that you did like. But go ahead, Crimson, we'll start with you.
All right, so I have advocated for years and years that Hasbro needed to figure out some way to make these, because they were doing those plastic tie things, where like the recyclable ones, and they were trying to be more like earth or user friendly or whatever. And I knew that this day was going to come where we were going to pretty much like everything was going to be in either a plastic bubble or is going to be in a cardboard box where you can't see the figure. And I was like, oh, just make the box like a playset. If you won't give us an arc or a nemesis or a revenge or anything, like just make the box into a playset. Like just the other side, just flip the paper over and print on that side. And I wish that so then they did this idea, and I'm like, okay, this is what I kind of wanted, and I'm glad that you listened because I made it very well known on comments wherever I could on their social media. But I'm like, this was not exactly what I had in mind. Like, I wanted to not add something addition to the packaging. Like, I wanted it to be integrated with it, so that way you can turn around and tell shareholders, hey, look, we're recycling. You know, like, just do that because you want to do that. But so it was a great idea. Here's the problem with that. Is that they're coming out in different waves. There were only going to be 10 of them. Okay, that's fine. They're not going to include them in the third wave. Okay, I get it. You could have done a Nemesis one. You could have done, what's the ship that Double Dealer and them were in? Payback or something. I forget what the name of that ship was. Oh, man, I can't remember what it I almost remember. Anyway, but they could have done something like that. A Queenstown play set, right? They have that kind of setup on that box. Why not make the opposite version of it and pack it in with it, right? Just something to add more value to exclusive, add more value to the figure that you're getting. But when you print all these out, if you'll notice, if you look at the shades of color and the different times that they're printed on the Teletrain 1 playsets, they're not all 100% matching. And it only got worse because when Earthrise map pieces came out, some of them were printed on cardboard. Some of them were on cardstock. Some of them were on very thin cardstock. Some of them were printed a different lighter color than the other one because of whatever they're printed on. So they're kind of like all over the place. In addition to that, Earthrise sucked the worst because you had a ton of exclusive figures. A bunch of people didn't get Scorponok in store. A bunch of people haven't found Runabout, or even Runamuck. Like he wasn't even exclusive. They couldn't find him. Then you have the Earthrise Conehead. So it's like nobody's going to be able to get these map pieces. They're never going to be able to complete the whole thing because the exclusives went everywhere. So it's just kind of been a mess with that. I like the map piece idea. That's cool, but looking back at it now with hindsight and the Kingdom card. Oh, let me tell you about the Kingdom card thing. That's a terrible idea. Because they said, oh, yeah, it's a random card pack-in. So basically what you're telling me is you don't even have a system in place to put them in the right order. You're just going to randomize it. I'm not going to buy 6 Black Arachnids so I can get one of each card. That's not going to happen. But it's just like, this is not the way to do that. Like, make a card pack, available on Hasbro Pulse so you can get all of them, or a gift promotion or something like that, but not make it randomizing in the box. That they didn't even do that with what was the Power of the Primes and stuff. Like they weren't randomized. There were ones where you got the wrong card, but they weren't purposely randomized. So I don't understand that. One thing though that was cool, and I wish they would bring it back, is the siege instructions have Cybertronian text written all around it for weapons, sometimes the names and stuff of powers and stuff they had. Bring that back. I love that because that added a little more extra to the instructions to where you got to have a little bit of fun decoding it. Even though it seems frustrating sometimes, it's still fun. And then you did the Earthrise ones, they took it away, so now it was all in English. And I'm like, well, if you kept it in Cybertronian, guess what you don't have to do? You don't have to put, it doesn't have to have a multi-language for different places. If it's in Cybertronian, then everybody has to decode it no matter what country you're in, right? So, I don't know. I wish they would have something like that, a little more like a hint and stuff. Like the spoiler boxes have it, but it really needs to. I would like stuff, little hints and things like that. That would be really kind of cool to have. But yeah, the Teletrain one, if you're going to have that, you got to have the Nemesis, or actually the ship that crash lands in the ocean that they build. That's called the Victory. So really, you want a Victory play set because the Nemesis was what Beastworks had, but we all call it the Nemesis because they're all purple ships for Decepticons. So.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to go next. So, I actually, because Brian just mentioned this in the chat, I loved the Prime Wars cards. Now, initially, when they started Titan's Return, they did the comic book pack-in, which are fine. They're basically reprints of, like, the Marvel and then early DW stuff, which was okay. The stories are typically Yes, those cards based around the character in the toy. Wow, he keeps them in a binder. I just keep mine in a shoebox.
Awesome.
But initially, I was using the cards to keep track of my figures. Like, if I went to the store, I would be able to go, or I was looking online, I'd be able to go through the cards and go, oh, I have this. Oh, I don't have this guy. I'll buy this guy. But then at the end of Prime Wars, they dropped it. Like, I received from Hasbro Pulse, or Toy Store, whatever it's called at the time, I received the Galaxy Prime, and or no, maybe that was the beginning. That was maybe beginning of Siege. I received the Galaxy Prime upgrade. Oh no, that wasn't it then. It was Armada Megatron. There you go. It was the remake of Armada Megatron that came in Prime Wars. It had no card, so I called Hasbro. I was like, "Hey, there's no card. Was it supposed to have one?" They were like, "No, we stopped doing that." I was like, "Oh, well, okay, that sucks." So I ended up taking all like at the time I had maybe 200 Transformers, and actually created an Excel spreadsheet, so I know how many I have of everything, what size they are, what series they're from. So now now that I'm physically at stores, I'll look at the list and go, do I have this guy? Because apparently my brain said at 250, you will not remember anything anymore. You must have a list now. So so going back to the more modern one, like this thing here, it's perfectly fine for core class or legends class if you were. But I mean, this dude is too freaking big for this thing. If I was a stop motion animator, there's no use for this, really.
Right.
So
right.
I don't get what
And
the gimmick was supposed to be.
It's shiny paper too, and you can't have that because you're going to have lights on your set. You got to have it matte in order to use
right,
it.
and there's the floor ends here, but then there's still 2 panels to go here for the 2 guys I didn't get. And then where we talk about the star map, I kept none of the. I just threw them away. I think the star map was for me a waste of paper. And then yes, the Kingdom collectible cards, they really should be sunk to the character specifically. I think it was a J or actually multiple J's, and Brian talking about how they have almost an infinite number of the same character, and it is crazy. Like, why? Oh, like what we really need is a trading network so I can get the ones I don't have. You just send them in the mail inside some card stock, and you know. And
my idea for it is actually for that star map. I'm going to take it to my decal lady and make a big decal. I'm going to put it on a piece of cardboard.
Well, I'm basically done bitching about this specifically, so we'll go to you, Aaron. What were your thoughts on the packing gimmicks from the last couple of series there?
Well, it's like I do like the stickers for Kingdom, but they're all randomized.
It is stupid.
That's one thing.
You did notice there's different rarities, right?
Yeah, I had a different Optimus. Where was it? There's so many damn cards.
Yeah, because I remember I woke up, I checked, because when I wake up, I check my phone, and Kato had posted on, I think, Instagram that there were different rarities. I was like, what? So I started looking through my cards, and I have like a rare Black Arachne or something. I now have also a rare Arc. Yeah. So there's rarities
are?
And like some of the rare ones are actually going for like $15, $20 online, or at least they were. I haven't looked recently. Right. So it is some people collect anything basically. Yeah. So
is there a way to know how rare each one is?
Yeah, different colors. If they're purple, they're the rarest, I guess, or maybe gold is the rarest. Play Fortnite, you'll figure out rarities that way.
Oh.
Okay, so Aaron, back to you.
Yeah, it was like I like it how they did the Kingdom, but I don't like how the sticker is so holographic you barely see the picture on them. And it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat how I did that. It was like, but I wish they went back to the cards like the Prime Wars ones. I actually like those because you can see I had a binder full of them. It's like the Prime Wars stuff. Pretty good. I was like the arc was it like the inside the arc with the Teletran 1 build thing. I was like, yeah, you had to get each piece of that, and each one was different thicknesses. Everything was different thicknesses. So I'm gonna take mine to my whole kit of it to my decal lady. She's gonna blow it out of proportion. The floor is gonna be one piece. It's gonna be all one decal, and the other half is gonna be a decal, and she's gonna raise it up. so you can actually be more scale wise for that. So that's the idea for my end for that.
See, because I want to interject real quick. We're talking about blowing up scenery. I was talking to Kato, and apparently a couple of the Rejecticons actually paid like $400 for their backgrounds. Like, there's some serious foam core, like a quarter-inch thick, like legit. He gave me the website. I've already forgotten the name of it, but I was looking at it. Is some high quality. Like, you go to Toy Hacks, and what they have is not even. It is not remotely as good as the stuff Kato has. It is like, holy crap! How nice are these sets? And then you can even buy like blocks. You can buy different items to dress to the set. Basically, you can buy a dollhouse for $400 for your Transformers.
It's too pricey
Let's
for
go,
me.
let's go, Barbie. Let's go party.
Do you know Mattel sued them for that song?
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not
Wow.
shocked.
Yeah.
These companies go nuts protecting their IPs sometimes.
Yeah, they do. Oh, speaking of protecting IPs, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been the Lazy Eyebrow or something. Somebody sent him a message saying that he needed to cease and desist using certain products on his channel. Keep in mind, this guy was not officially from anywhere but a viewer. Right.
Right.
So some of the dumb things people say to you about IPs, like, you have no, like, unless the company that physically says something to you, you can't be a stranger and tell somebody about their business. Like, wow. Okay, so
So you were mentioning those toy stages.
Right.
I actually have several of them. I don't have the ARC one. They are really nice. Like, they're really good, well printed.
But it's like cardboard, right?
Almost like well, it's more like really thick cardstock. But it's not cardboard. Like, so you see, like, here, you can see how it's got that
That is thick.
kind of thick.
Yeah.
Kind
It
of,
does go.
yeah, real heavyweight. Yeah, and then they'll have like the ones where, like, I think, they have a machine that, like, creases, makes little creases on the corner and stuff like that. And then they actually go through on the back of them, and when they crease them, then they also tape them so that they don't ever, like, come off from that, from that crease. So they
That's a
don't
nice
start
touch.
tearing.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah, really, really nice. They do make ones, like, for DTOLs and stuff like that, but what's funny about these is I wish they were bigger, like, much, much bigger, because that would be cool to have it, like, super far away, and then you could have, like, like a character, like, here, and it would still be all right. But most of the time you got to get pretty close, and you'll cast shadows on the stages. But that's just for an animation thing. But for display, they're perfect. They're perfectly sized. But really good quality. I do recommend the toy stages for sure. I just didn't get the ARC one because I have the third-party iGear set that has, like, the whole thing with it. So, which I wish they would have released, or somebody has to have those molds, right? Like, they cut metal at some point. Where are those molds? Why do people not, like, auction those off?
Okay, so Aaron, did you finish, or do you have more stuff?
Yeah, I'm good. I was like, yep. I was like, just, that's it.
Okay, Sam. You're working on the review for Unicron. How do you background something that big?
Well, I'm poorly right now. So my backdrop is really simple. It's a computer desk, basically. I've got a white sheet draped over like a photography stand, and then draped over the desk just to create kind of a smooth white background. I posted.
You posted a picture on Instagram, I think.
Yeah, and you could see how, like, you could see past the top of my display. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not at all set up for this. I was so ill prepared. I think in his robot mode, he'll be just short enough to where I can get him in the shot without showing outside. But we'll see.
I suspect when Deluxe Baldwin does his review, it's going to be floor time, because there's no way. It's just way too much toy. Okay, so getting back on topic, pack-in gimmicks. Your thoughts, Sam?
So kind of the same line as exclusives. I think they can be good if done right. Prime Wars, the Combiner Wars, Titans Return, simple but harmless, right? You bought a character, you got that character's card, some nice artwork, nothing too crazy, but you can't be disappointed. You always knew what you're getting. With Power of the Primes, they did kind of the same thing, except each character had multiple variants for like most of the different primes, right? And they'd each get like a unique power. And if you were like a crazy completionist and wanted every variant, you would just have to keep buying the same toy over and over, hoping you get the right one. Or, I don't know, pay somebody for their cards. Like you literally could not collect everything without just buying a ton of the same toys. So I thought that was kind of a swing and a miss. I get what they were going for. I mean, luckily I did not feel compelled to have, 10 different variants of, battle, what's his face? Battle Trap. But yeah, so that was like, those were okay. The comics were kind of a cool idea. If you don't buy the comics normally, like from retail, just to get a little taste of that, those are neat. I do like the Netflix one. I like the arc idea. Like, yeah, it's kind of cheap. It's cardboard. It's nothing super great. My only problem is that not all those Netflix figures are really great. I mean, some of them are really, like the Hound is probably by far the worst. It's just worse than Siege Hound in every way. It's just gray, and so that kind of stings because you may have to pick up some figures you really don't want. But that's also very similar to how like they do it for Marvel Legends, where they're encouraging you to buy the full wave so you can get this, complete thing, which I really wish that they could do Build-A-Figures like Marvel Legends does. Like they tried it for the Cyberverse Deluxes, but it was a really cheap, crappy Build-A-Figure. He was smaller than the Deluxes. It had like no articulation.
And didn't even transform.
Yeah, and he was really hollow and cheap.
But
so
McAdams.
McAdam.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, because of how expensive Transformers are, since they're, much more difficult to produce than like a regular action figure, I don't think it'll ever be within the budget to do decent Build-A-Figures, which sucks. I hate that. I wish they could, but they'd get really expensive. You'd be talking like $30 Deluxes at that point. Because as much as I hate to admit it, the engineering really does justify how expensive these things are compared to a Captain America.
Well, even so, like, if they had, done like an Alpha Trion, it probably, somebody will, yes, McAdams was in the Cyberverse show, so it made sense, but like, something to get outside of their immediate market would have been like an Alpha Trion, because everybody would have been clamoring to get that. But we have the Transformers R.E.D. line, so maybe Alpha Trion could be in that one, because that would make a little more sense for an articulated version of that.
Yeah, the R.E.D. it's such a mystery right now because they've only released 5 total figures in 2 waves. So they've released very few at a time, so we don't have a good feel of exactly how far they're going to take the line. I have all sorts of ideas for what they should do with that, from like, Action Masters to Pretender Shells to non-Transformer characters from the series like Garnak or Primacron, or cool stuff, like out there stuff. I don't think they're going that route. I think they're just going with like really popular, on-screen characters, which is a shame because there's so much potential there. Like imagine you can buy Bludgeon's Inner Robot as a mainline Transformer in whatever comes after, Worf Sartron, and it's just the Inner Robot, but because he's by himself, they can make it good. They can make it a good tank Transformer. And then over in R.E.D., you can buy his shell, which works as a standalone action figure, but it's made specifically to be like hollow, to where it can like go over him, and you can get a complete Pretender if you want to put the money down to do that, and it'll be awesome. But again, Hasbro's really afraid of generic stuff in main lines, or not generic, obscure stuff in main lines. So I don't see them doing it. I think we're just going to get a whole bunch of G1 A-listers and a few cameos from different series. And I think it'll be a big dud and probably not go on for very long, sadly.
Well, they got the Super 7 taken over.
Yeah, so Super 7 seems to be the place to go. I got those 2 Action Masters pre-ordered because I guess that's the only way we're going to get Action Master updates.
On to Jay's thing, I think they could reduce some of the redundancy in the packaging and make the Build-A-Figure the quote-unquote pack-in gimmick without doing... Like, they could... First off, I like the fact that they switched in Kingdom to the cardboard, but they could make the packaging easier. It requires less cardboard. There is still more cardboard than there really needs to be, and if they just make the packaging square again, it's just one flat piece, cut out in the back if you need room for a backpack, and then just call it a day. Like, attach the figure to it if you have to, and I think that would be the minimal. And then the front of it, I don't necessarily feel like you need to see through the box, because that's just adding cost to it to add that little piece of clear plastic on the front of it. But I feel like they could make great cost savings, keep the price still at $20 or technically $23 USD, and do a pack-in. My other problem is, could the pack-in transform? Now, obviously, we have figures where, like Cup, for example, you can take the pieces apart and more or less, build Cup. So, but you would have to have that type of concept of the pieces are supposed to come apart, and you could basically get a figure that may not necessarily be the best articulated, or the tightest joints, or the ratchets or whatever, because that is what you give up for a built-in figure when it has the amount of articulation a Transformer typically has.
I do want to say that it is pretty hysterical that Studio Series Cup comes with like the pull apart legs and stuff, because it's like, hey, here's a poor quality control figure you can buy.
Soundwave
fall apart.
Yeah, Soundwave 8084 brings up another point. I think Ninja Bill was at a store, and he saw a lady opening up boxes and pulling the Transformers out. I think what she was doing was looking for the cards. But I guess at some places, Soundwave says people are basically putting in. Oh, you know what? Somebody showed a hot rod in a Rodimus box or something like that for Studio Series. Yeah. Or what was it? It was Titan's Return hot rod in the Studio Series hot rods box, right? And they returned it to the store, and I thought that was hilarious because I've seen at Walmart's. Only once, though, at a Walmart, where somebody repackaged something that wasn't the actual, thing that's supposed to be in the package. And it kind of reminds me of back in the old days when the Xbox 360 and the Sony PlayStation 3 came out, where people were putting bricks on the boxes, and in the back of Best Buy and Walmart taking the systems home. Yeah. Yeah, I get the point that the piece of clear plastic prevents that a little bit. But it still doesn't stop people, because the people who work at the store may not necessarily know what they're returning or what they're doing in the aisles is the same figure. So you're going to get it either way, but yeah, it will probably prevent more than there would be otherwise. And
the thing that's terrible about that is, like, you can say, okay, well, how stupid are these customer service representatives? Well, first of all, they're not.
They don't
They
care.
get return stuff all the time.
Care.
They either don't care, they don't know, they look at the package, it says product and color may vary, but, they're not, that stuff's like all over the place. I mean, so it just doesn't, you can't really put the onus on them, but sometimes you'll see things that are just 100% blatantly like, that doesn't even fit in that box. Like, this doesn't even work. And I think was there an issue with, I'm trying to remember who it was, I can't think of who it was, but maybe somebody in chat was the person, but they had gone to go they had found Siege Jetfire, and they were so excited, and then they just had like this weird kind of inkling of like, let me check, because you can't see the figure, so let me check this Jetfire. So they opened, because the box had been opened on the top, opened the box, and there was one of those Cyberverse Grimlocks, the big tall ones, or not Cyberverse Grimlock, Cyberverse Optimus Prime, the big tall one, had been slipped in the cardboard insert slipped perfectly into the Siege Jetfire box. So they had swapped them so that they could get the cheaper Cyberverse Optimus Prime, but then leave the $8 seat. And that was just like, that's messed up. Like, I would have been like, so imagine if you'd taken that home, come back to the store, and now you look like the criminal, right? Because it's like, how do you explain this? Like,
Yeah.
that kind of toy swapping, toy hiding, I hate all that stuff, because it's just like, look, if you don't have the money for it, you can't pay for it, don't hide it. because you're only going to hurt that brand if you go and you return it, because the store's gonna write it off as a loss if they can't find it,
Hurt
and
the
then they're
employees
just not
too.
going to order as many.
Hurt
Yeah,
their
yeah.
bonuses at Walmart. The Walmart ties employee bonuses directly to losses.
Oh,
Well, I don't know anything about Walmart bonuses. Like, I mean, I'm sure they figure out.
I can
ways
tell
to
you
pay that
firsthand.
anyway.
just thinking about
Um,
people hiding toys, Crimson. I actually had there's a Facebook group I'm in on Facebook. I was like, this one dude bought a backpack for his daughter or something. Got it home, opened it up. There was a Studio Series '86 hot rod in it. Did not know.
That tells you that the cashier didn't look, but then if they would have looked, he would have gotten in trouble trying to shoplift.
Yeah,
So be happy he didn't know until he got home.
yeah.
Jay Lee, just to answer what you're saying about the red Cheetor's gun, it actually does fit in Kingdom Cheetor's hand pretty well. It's diagonal, so the handle doesn't slide all the way in, but most of the way he actually holds it quite well. Red Cheetor unfortunately can't hold any like standard 5mm handles though, so it's a one-way street.
Well, I'll
Yeah,
find
it's
out.
kind of weird. It's
I'll
kind of
find
weird
out.
that it's like that.
Yeah, Kingdom Cheetor holds it pretty good. It makes him look a lot better to give it to him too, because it scales with him pretty well.
Yeah, they had. I was at Walmart on Tuesday. They were fully stocked with both Wave 1 and Wave 2 of red. And I had RC in my cart for about 3 minutes. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? It doesn't transform. I have limited shelf space. I put it back on the peg. I was like, you know what? I don't need this. What I really want is the stupid Decius Army drone.
Well, in Target, let's go off topic or whatnot, but like Target, they had gotten an entire shipment of nothing but Siege Thundercrackers at one point. I mean, there were probably about 12 or 14 of them. It was ridiculous.
I remember
like,
that.
Look,
My targets were
yeah,
the same way.
nobody's-
Thundercrackers.
yeah, nobody's going to buy these. Nobody's, like, unless you're army building or at least you're customizing like I was. So then the next week or the weekend or whatever it was, they had a buy one, get one free. And I was like, oh. So I went and bought a whole bunch of Thundercrackers. I was like, this will be great because not only will it clear out the stock, but then it gets me like, they're all $15, right? And then what happens? They order like 20 Siege Megatrons. And I was like, oh, nobody's going to want these. They already have them.
Oh my god.
It was ridiculous. It took forever because it was that one Target store, and it was like it took forever for those Siege Megatrons to disappear. And I was just like, oh, because they were both in that. They were both packed together, right? See, like Megatron and Thundercracker were, but
Yeah.
what a disaster! Like, and by the time those Siege Megatrons sold, there were still Siege Shockwaves on the shelf.
There's still a couple on my shelf at my Target.
Yep. There's a
Are they on
Target.
clearance? If they're on clearance, man, I want them.
There's a Target in Louisville that still has Siege Shockwave on the shelves, and we're in Kingdom now.
It's crazy.
We should just clearance them
Yeah,
out.
guys. See, all the Targets, Siege Shockwave was shelf warming everywhere, but he's just not as a famous of a character, right? Could be, but really, he's not as famous until like the show came out. And Galaxy Upgrade Prime was shelf warming everywhere at Walmart, like almost as long as the Shockwave did. And it's just you could tell who got what. Like they didn't. It was like all the Shockwaves went to Target, all the Galaxy Upgrade Prime went to Walmart.
Yeah, that's a shame because Galaxy Prime's pretty good too. I like that toy.
Oh, I fully enjoy. I got it
did.
and Ultra. I got Magnus first, and I was like, "Oh, Galaxy Prime and Magnus work together in some ways." So I was like, I don't regret it. It was a good purchase. Yeah,
So
it was
I didn't want to pay. I didn't want to pay the $50 for it. I had no problem paying $50 for Shockwave. Did you get a Sentinel drone from season 2 of the G1 cartoon? And I love Shockwave, but I did not want to pay $50 for Galaxy Upgrade. Eventually, after I think like a year and a half, maybe 2 years, I was able to find it at a vintage shop. Talked the guy down to 30, and I walked out.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think I got
What's
Galaxy Upgrade for 30.
Yeah, I'm okay with that price for him. He's a lot of toy, and he's a proper leader size. But the thing is that I think I like Galaxy Upgrade Prime was an experiment. The Generation Selects Hotshot, those were experiments. That was an exclusive, right? And when you have the Armada idea Like they're trying to bring back Cybertron Energon. They're trying to bring that Unicron trilogy in, but those fans of those didn't put the money where their mouth has been because there's not enough of them and they're not old enough or they don't have the discretionary spending. And this was before that pandemic, right? So
they failed us.
Before the pandemic, right? So they failed, right? And so they're like, okay, well then we're going to Beast Wars because we know they have money because they're buying our masterpieces. So that's how we got this flip on Kingdom. But the thing with that is I think that Galaxy Upgrade Prime, looking at it, yes, they're using the little inner robot as Orion Pax in the Bold New Era IDW comic, but I think the combined mode looks a lot like, is it Nova Prime? I think from the older IDW. Like if they just painted it in white plastic or had white plastic and stuff, that thing would have been crazy selling out because it's totally different than Prime. They could have called it Nova Optimus Prime. It still would have sold because it's got Optimus Prime's name on it, right? But they said Nova Prime or something like that would have been a big seller. Or Sentinel Prime, something, I don't think we needed so many Optimus Primes so quickly because I think that hurt Earthrise Prime sales for a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. They went too nuts with the big Optimus Prime toys, and people that aren't completionists, they just need like one Optimus Prime. They're good, especially like kids, right? They just need one Optimus Prime.
And this Siege one I love, and I thought maybe they'll do. Oh, they're going to come out with a leader one. It's going to have a Cybertronian trailer and a battle base, 5mm pegs everywhere. This is going to be awesome. And then they come out with Galaxy Upgrade Prime, and I'm like, oh man, I wanted a trailer.
Yeah, I hate Kingdom Ultra Magnus. Talk about that mold family. Like, it just is everything I wish it wasn't. Like,
that alt mode is awful.
That is one of the worst alt modes I've ever seen for a $50 toy.
I was like, it should have swivel. It's a tractor trailer. It's supposed to swivel. It don't.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it's maybe a totally different conversation, but like I watched Car Robots, Transformers, Robots in Disguise, Trid. I watched that as a kid and enjoyed it. But when I love Ultra Magnus, he's one of my favorite Autobot characters, and I loved him in the movie, and I wanted the car carrier mode, and I'm like, that's Cybertronian enough. Maybe not the cab, but it's Cybertronian enough that it could work. That's what I wanted, right? Mm. This Kingdom one is such a disappointment. The Siege one is great, but there's something kind of off from the robot mode because of the way the missiles aren't quite level, because they're up higher, or you can make them lower. You can get a third-party add-on kit, but you shouldn't have to do that. Yeah. But I didn't want G1 Ultra Magnus, and I didn't want Trid Ultra Magnus combined. I didn't want that. That's not. I want either go full G1 or go full Trid. Don't give me a mixture of it. But over time, I like that alt mode for the Siege one. The Kingdom one, however, looks like crap. Wow. It's like, how did you screw this up? You gave me something fresh. You gave me something of a combination mixture, right? And I accepted that, but then you try to do this, and I was just like, well, why? Like, but I will get that Kingdom one because I do like Ultra Magnets, but I want to rip that chest off from Kingdom and swap that with the Siege one because the chest piece, torso plate, looks better on Siege than it'll look on Kingdom. Mm.
Okay, so we're going to move on to a couple of final topics. I'm going to combine them together, which is anticipated future toy acquirements and anything you would love to see be produced as a toy. So first off, we know about Leader Galvatron. For some godforsaken reason, Commander Rodimus Prime. All four of the remaining Dinobots in Studio Series at, again, why $50 a pop. We also know Pterosaur, which is a Air Razor remold. Let's see. I had a whole list, but I don't have it open. But just so many things being leaked.
Do we have pictures of the Pterosaur?
No. Things. Proto Man actually had it. No, he didn't. He just talked about it. He had different pictures. But it was inevitable. Australia they did Air Razor, so Pterosaur uses the same mold.
I wouldn't be mad about it. The mold actually for Air Razor is nice. I actually like it.
Okay, so we're going to start with Sam. Anticipated future toy requirements and anything you would love to see that hasn't been announced or leaked.
Well, my most anticipated figures were Rodimus and Galvatron until I saw them. $50 Voyager Galvatron and way too expensive Rodimus. And I know it's, people are like, oh, the parts, he's thicker. Like, he's smaller than Voyager Galvatron. He's smaller than a toy that costs half as much. And even if he's like, a little better, a little beefier, he's not twice the price better. And I'll die on that hill. And like the biggest difference between him and the Voyager is that he gets like the two revenge ships that become a railgun. It's two chunks of gray plastic, like really cheap looking ones too. Like ooh,
Right.
They look like slug figures.
They couldn't print them in purple.
They couldn't even paint them. It makes no sense. I am severely disappointed with that Galvatron. Like it's fine. It's a good Galvatron, not worth leader price. I mean, the alt mode doesn't even look good. It looks like a scrap heap. I think the Tides of Return alt mode looks better. Plus, that one's actually a triple changer. That's the gun mode. Well, ship mode, but gun mode. This one, as far as I know, doesn't have a third mode like the original toy does, which I actually got recently, by the way. I finally bit the bullet in my comic shop and got a $100 G1 Galvatron. So that's cool. I like him. He's in great condition, too. So it's kind of hard to say what I'm anticipating right now because most of everything that's coming has been leaked. And then we don't know anything beyond Kingdom. I'm looking forward to the Ark. The Ark is a really cool concept, and hopefully come, April 9th, we'll get a better look at it, and it turns out as well as I hope it will, because Galvatron sure did not. And Rodimus is cool. I actually like Rodimus. I just don't know if they gave me $80 worth of toy there. Let's see. Pterosaur, I'm cautiously optimistic. Of course, I'm happy he's coming, but we'll see. We'll see how he turns out. It's kind of hard to say because we're at that point in the year where we know up to this toy lines, and that's about it.
Well, here's what I have. These are quote leaks / unofficial announcements or whatever. A Rhinox, which is a Voyager class, a Scorpionox Deluxe, a Trax Deluxe, a Galvatron, which we already know, Tigatron Voyager, Pipes Deluxe. He's going to be basically Bumblebee size. Wreck-Gar, which is a Studio 86 Voyager, a Sweep Studio 86 Voyager, Rodimus, which I've already mentioned, Slug or Slag, depending on if you want to offend British people or not.
I do.
And then Pterosaur. So yeah, that is the list I have right here.
Let's see, out of that stuff, I can't wait to see what Tigatron looks like. I really hope he's better than Cheetor, because Cheetor is probably one of my least favorite Kingdom toys. I think they just really dropped the ball in like every capacity there. So hopefully with I like Dinobot. The Dino mode kind of sucks with
the tail thing,
appendage, but
his Red Rocket.
Yeah, the Red Rocket tail. But he makes up for it because the freaking robot mode is awesome.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully Tigatron's great since he's going to be a Voyager. Scorpionox will probably be good. Probably. I mean, it's not too complicated, right? His scorpion arms is robot arms, so you don't have to do much. The upcoming Studio Series 86 Dinobots, hopefully those are good. I mean, if Grimlock's anything to go by, they will be. I still think he should have come with a sword instead of a wheelie figure.
I think I'd feel better about Studio Series 86 Grimlock if he had the sword. It feels too plain for me. I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way a little bit.
Right, and people made the point that he doesn't show his sword in the movie, so it's technically screen accurate. Like, yeah, sure, but that sword is so iconic. I mean, yeah, I like that. I like that upgrade. That's really nice.
JRC design.
What makes even less sense is that why make like Hasbro, there's repaints, there's cost-saving measures. Are you telling me that the re-engineering, cutting metal to make a worthless wheelie figure just so he can spread his legs and ride Grimlock is better than just reissuing a Titan's Return mold you already have?
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense.
I talked about that during the review. Is you could have taken that mold, which is more than serviceable, and just painted it screen accurate colors,
Yeah.
And
yeah, nobody would want the Takara one anymore. Nobody would want the old one anymore. They'd want the Studio Series Grimlock, and it wouldn't be shelf warming.
yep. Yeah, I hate that he's shelf warming. I had really hoped to see more success out of him.
But
They
if
could
he
give
is shelf,
Hasbro cold feet with the other Dinobots.
yeah, because if he is shelf warming, then what does that? Does that even like restrict the fact that they might come out with more? I mean, technically one is leaked, but it seems less likely now when he's just sitting on shelves at places.
Right. I mean, and Crimson touched on it, like the Armada or Unicron trilogy stuff, how they backed out because they didn't sell well. And sure, they might have plans to do. I mean, you see over the years, as time goes on, you find about all sorts of canceled figures. Like Power of the Primes was actually supposed to have the Primes in it, and instead we got not quite Pretenders, not quite Primes,
Micromasters, or whatever they were called.
Yeah, I mean the Prime Masters, and they were terrible.
And you didn't even get a Star Saber in the Power of the Primes.
Right?
Like, what?
Right. Perfect toy line for it. Instead, we got
he literally was the Autobot leader.
Yep. Yeah, it's I hope we get things that are supposedly coming and they don't just like shelve them, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, and with that, like,
hold on, Kato, I got you, bro. I got you. Come here.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I haven't worked out in a while, so they're not that impressive anymore. But,
he didn't use a sword, but honestly, Grimlock didn't even fire his gun in the movie. When they were battling Unicron, he fires blasters out of his fist, he's a GoBot. And then when he's flying away, like, me Grimlock need to do a strategy. And then they're flying away, and then he has his gun in his hand. And I'm like, okay, so we kind of barely see the gun, but can we get the sword? Like, he uses it all the time in season 2. It would have been a great idea. Like, I don't know. The wheelie thing, I mean, I guess it comes with a slingshot.
Meh.
I mean, that's an improvement, right?
They could have just made a slingshot for the Legends one.
Right?
I mean, one little piece of plastic. Yeah. Yeah.
Or it could have been in that Centurion drone set. They could have put a wheelie slingshot in that. Instead of a dinky Optimus Prime that's unpainted that we can't use. And like, he didn't even battle. Like, they're saying, oh yeah, this is a scale that's going to go with the HasLab Unicron. I'm like, no, it's not. Prime didn't even face Unicron. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he was dead by the time he showed up. I found that to be a weird choice too.
Yeah, in the comics he did.
There's the boob.
That was Power Master Prime. Kato.
Also, I hate that it's a gray Optimus. They didn't even make it red or blue or anything. It's just gray. I guess because he's dead. That's his little corpse. That's
right.
Yeah.
I mean, they did bury him standing up, so I guess that works.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
we spoiled it. Oh, sorry, Kato.
Shit.
He's like crying in his closet now, like shaking back.
And it's Rodimus, or it's Hot Rod's fault too.
Hot Rod's fault. Hot Rod did it.
Well, you know what? I know some people have said that it's Prime's fault. Prime killed Prime because he should have shot Megatron, even though Hot Rod was there. Like, Prime is a sharpshooter. Prime is a sharpshooter. He totally could have shot Megatron, like dead center in the head. But Hot Rod says, "Forgive me, Prime." Like, he does say forgive. Hot Rod knows that this was his fault.
Did you guys ever read the Transformers Deviations comic? It was like a one-shot where it was the movie, but Optimus doesn't die. And I found it to be the weirdest thing. It was interesting, but the weirdest thing is that everybody treated Hot Rod like crap after that. Remember, everyone hated him? And it's like, wait, so the continuity where he doesn't kill Optimus Prime, they all hate him, but when he's like directly responsible for Optimus Prime dying, like, they don't even mention it. They're like, don't worry about it, bro. These things happen. I found it to be the weirdest thing that everybody is crapping on Hot Rod in this continuity where he didn't actually do anything wrong because he got stopped from, being an idiot. And it was just the craziest thing to me.
I was reading because I haven't read all of Phase 1 and 2 of the IDW comics, and so, like, I finally got through all of Phase 1, getting into Phase 2, and they get to a part where, like, they have a situation where Megatron is holding Hot Rod, and Prime's gonna shoot it. And then what does Hot Rod do? He transforms out of Megatron's arms. And I was like, oh, that's like a mind blown. I was like, why didn't Hot Rod do that in the movie?
Well, because they had to sell new toys, man.
I know.
Can't have those old toys clogging shelves anymore.
But story-wise, that would have been pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah. It made no sense. No sense at all.
To answer KRBB, here's my theory. Hasbro Pulse needs to make the premium memberships worth something, so they have to release exclusives every so often, so people will pay that $50.
Yeah, that's really to make it worth it. That's the only reason I re-upped, because I knew there was going to be like timed exclusives or like straight exclusives on there. I'm like, well, I'm going to have to do it this way, or I'm going to pay way more from some third party. So
yeah, I didn't get on the premium bus until like a little bit later, so my re-up hasn't come up. But it saved me a lot in shipping alone. I would say it's worth that. But I mean, that's why I got Amazon Prime as well. Like it's just you don't have to pay shipping on anything. Like and you get it faster. Okay, I'll take it. Yeah. But the thing with the premium is that so remember when they did the Pit of Judgment? They were like, okay, we're going to open it up for the people that have premium memberships. Mm-hmm. They're going to order what they want, right? And then we'll have it the next day. Well, what happened is that it sold out while the premium membership. And I'm like, okay, first of all, that makes no sense to me. I'm like, I understand, yes, they were just making premium memberships, paying $50 to Pulse, and then just buying up all what they want, right? I get that. But how do you run out of something that you haven't even produced yet? So,
yeah,
it's like that never made any sense to me. Like they should have been unlimited amount of whatever orders you want that day, and then whatever, then the next day or whatever they carry over, right? And then you can have that open and then let that sell out. But don't let it sell out for the people that are paying $50 every year. Like,
yeah, the same thing just happened with the latest round of pre-orders. The shared exclusive with Walmart, those sold out while they were still premium only. Or at least most of them did, like the good stuff did.
Yeah.
And I think even some of the Beast Wars reissues did.
It doesn't make any sense. I was able to snag Beast Wars Megatron on Hasbro Pulse because I was tired of looking for him. And he showed up as in stock. I was like, oh, so bot. And Dinobot, too. I think I got Dinobot from Pulse as well.
Nice.
Now I see Dinobot everywhere. So
yeah, once you get it, then all of a sudden they show up everywhere. That's how it always works.
Okay.
I'm starting to think that Hasbro Pulse, like whatever shipping company that is, I'm wondering if Walmart and Target use that same shipping company and they don't actually ship out themselves.
Maybe.
No, that would be too expensive. They actually do handle their own shipping. But I'm going to move on to Aaron here. Anticipated future toy acquirements and anything you would like to see that isn't rumored.
Well, it's not spoiled already. Well, I would say I'm anticipating to see what next line Transformers is going to be after this year. I'm actually hoping they do a little homage to the Car Robots Armada trilogy, like mix them together. Maybe I don't know, but I would really like to see them do a combiner Raiden, like a official Raiden, not a masterpiece one. Like an official Raiden combiner and Landcross, because they're missing out on some good combiners. So it's like Combiner Wars missed out on that.
If they release Raiden in the States, they'll probably have to change his name because of copyright.
Yeah, they I forget. My brother has the I think RID is when they had him before. So
Trade-in.
Yes, exactly. That's what he was called. Yeah. Okay.
Rail Racer was on in the States. They called him Rail Racer.
Rail Racer, that's it. Yeah. So, Aaron, did you have anything else?
No, it was like everything else done. I was like, you guys pretty much covered it too.
Okay, Crimson, because I feel like you've covered most of this too. But anticipated future toy requirements and anything you would love to see that hasn't been announced or leaked.
So a lot. The Rodimus Prime. Look. I love Hot Rod. I hate Rodimus Prime. Never liked him. Never will like him. Didn't like him in Burden the Hardest to Bear, where he learned that he needed to be a better leader because it wasn't him learning it. It was Hot Rod that learned it. So I've never liked Rodimus Prime. I've always liked Hot Rod, and so I got the Power of the Primes because I thought it was going to be the only Rodimus Prime that kind of like, you know, in a Voyager type size that worked because it was the Hot Rod version of the figure.
We're talking the Evolution?
Right, the Evolution, yeah. Like, that works, you know, the whole combined big, you know, like piece of crap, that one, that's not a Rodimus Prime. I don't know what that is. That's an abomination. Super Rodimus or something. But this one I'm definitely going to get because I didn't want to get the third-party DX9 carry because that's more of a Studio Ox design. And this one does have Studio Ox type spoiler designs on it, but with the Japanese art book and cartoon studio. But this is probably going to be the only Rodimus Prime I'll ever buy because I never wanted the Masterpiece, have no interest in it, but I'll get this one because one, the trailer is actually a trailer, so that's kind of cool that it actually, you know, has like platforms and stuff. And you know, I kind of want to look up on my shelf and be like, yeah, that's the character I hate. So, you know, and the reason, of course, you know, I mentioned it before. I love Ultra Magnus. He should have been an Autobot leader. I understand for script writing, he wasn't the chosen one, you know. But if you watch that movie again, you'll see when they're on the planet of junk. Yes, sometimes he made bad decisions, but you know, when you've got a giant planet-eating, you know, monster that you weren't even forewarned about, like he's having to make decisions right away. And when he says, you know, like we'll double back to a shuttle or stuff, I'll try to use the power of the Matrix, and he shoots the cavern up on the planet of junk and protects Perceptor and Springer and Daniel and RC and Blur. Like, he is protecting his Autobots. He's making sure he's making sure they're going to survive. So that's why I think Ultra Magnus like always deserves a really good figure, and this Kingdom one's kind of a slight to that. But I'll get this Rodimus Prime. But so I am going to get that. The Galvatron I got to get. I have the Titans Return one. I bought it for $30 because I thought they wouldn't make another Galvatron. But look, I got suckered in a second time, right? The sweeps, I don't know. I want to see what they look like. A lot of people are doing a lot of photoshopping stuff, so it's kind of hard to figure out what's real, what's not. And so we'll see how the sweeps go. Otherwise, I got 5 Scourges that got delivered yesterday, so I'm cool with my sweeps. I got all that I need.
The question is, do you like erase the beard or do you keep them?
So really, they all look the same as Scourge. It's just they're just more hunched back over. That's kind of the only difference between them. The photoshopping one people are making is the DevCon, like from season 2 of Transformers, and that's okay. But that's been a BotCon thing. That's been a like a Platinum Edition pack kind of thing. That really isn't a sweep. If you go back and watch the cartoon, they just look 100% like Scourge. I would say from a just a perspective of, like, let's say in universe, I would just erase all of the pink nails and feet from the sweeps and just add pink nails and pink toes for Scourge, and that would be your only differentiation between the two. Or a different color blue, that could work too. But yeah, that's kind of what I'll do. But anyway, I'll keep the mustache. They need to have their little what is it, Inspector Sherlock Holmes kind of Inspector time, or that old English mustache that Scourge has is really.
I thought it was more of like a Fu Manchu, wasn't it?
Oh, that's racist.
No, I'm not even kidding. Like, that's actually what it's called.
Yeah. There's a name for it.
The tip part's too long, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Kato, you're funny on that one. Kato was funny on that comment.
I mean, they could be cool, right? Like, if you actually put like Masterpiece Engineering and made them like more, G1 or Generations proportions, probably get some cool designs.
If they did that,
it's like
those are going to be the only Masterpiece ones that light up.
Yeah, it's like when they took Rescue Bot Blur and they had that crossover to RID and they made a toy of him. That toy is actually awesome. It's one of the best toys in the RID 2015 line. Mm-hmm. It's really good. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of hoping they'd give them all the same treatment. Yeah, because I'm like, wow, that turned out really well. They de-cartoonified him and made him, there you go. All right, that's one of my favorite toys in the whole line.
And that's the one I got left. That's
Yeah.
the only one I got left. I got rid of everyone else. That's the only guy I kept.
Because he's the best one, man. He's like ice blue gun and everything. He's awesome.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's just I don't know about the sweeps. I mean, I may pick up one or something, you know. But I will say for stuff. So that's I haven't seen Huffer yet, so I'm gonna get Huffer. I'm gonna get some more Decius drones.
Huffer is great.
Sure.
I would definitely recommend him.
Yeah, Huffer looks awesome.
Yeah.
I would my preference though is that if they make a pipes, they got to change a couple of little things, not just the color, not just the head.
I think
but
they'll
I would like a
retool it.
little bit different than that. Yeah, I mean they got to. He was. I mean, I think he wasn't he in the photo? The photo that was leaked that we weren't ever supposed to see.
Oh, the big collage looking thing. Yeah, 'cause somebody said he saw him, and yeah. So there's like Tigatrons in there and all that. Yeah.
So there's supposed to be, along with that pterosaur leak from the Amazon Australia site, there was a separate listing for what appears to be a 2-pack, and on the listing it said Ranger Puffer, which as is doesn't make a lot of sense. But they think, I think Ranger and Puffer are supposed to be two different characters. One being Road Ranger, who was a GoBot redeco of Huffer that was released in e-hobby back in the day, and then Puffer is actually just like a pipes covered Huffer that was only released in Brazil or Mexico. I forget which one it was because they released them in like different countries. I forget which one Puffer's based off of. And so that's what people think it is based on hints and prices and everything. So you might actually get a 2-pack of Huffer redecos, or maybe one will be Huffer, one will be the pipes version. I'm not sure, but
I'd be down. I'd be down for that, you know, because that's one of the things where when they do stuff like that and they do little repaints and things, that's just gonna. I love when they do like the e-hobby, the Diaclone, like the Spin Out and Cordon. That was a really cool kind of set.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just more cannon fodder for like my stop motion animation series, but it's more cannon fodder for just all over your shelves, right?
I love the obscure recolors, man. Bring them on. Like the only one I don't really like too much, just because he's a little too out there, is the Galactic Man Shockwave. Just because he doesn't really work, you know, to headcanon into like your existing transfer. Because I mean, he literally says Galactic Man on the chest. Like he's purely just a nostalgia thing and has never been used in any sort of fiction to like justify his existence. Like he's just a call back to a Radio Shack.
That's funny because I bought him over the purple Shockwave because I actually liked his colors better. And frankly, all you have to do is rub his chest until white stuff comes off, and the name's gone.
My. I knew this was after dark, but bet your Shockwave likes you a lot.
Although
I would say like with.
I was gonna say Shockwave because I think Crimson mentioned it earlier. They.
So go full character.
Shockwave had a habit of shelf warming, so.
I said bear, B-A-R-E, instead of B-E-A-R.
Yeah. I can get way worse. Don't egg me on.
Okay,
you should see me at work.
In bed, no.
In your pants.
If you were to take like the Galactic Man or Shockwave, you know, just you put him in the roadway, run him over a couple of times, and if you read the original Transformers script, like yes, it doesn't happen in the movie because it's been rearranged, but originally Unicron was supposed to grab Shockwave's tower that he has a space bridge in and was going to crush him inside of it. Yeah. So you could be like, this is the deleted scene, dead Shockwave.
I do charge extra for that, Kato. The happy ending costs more, man.
I will say though, so with all those said, you know, definitely getting kind of Kingdom has been one of the things that I haven't been able to army build anything. Yes, I'll eventually get 3 Dinobots because I'm going to make 3 different color schemes, but I also kind of like to display them in the multiple modes as well. Because I do like the Grimlock from the Beast Wars, the Dalmatian one, because I don't think we're going to see that released. But so I'm going to go ahead and make my own.
It's supposedly in a 2-pack. It's supposedly coming in a 2-pack according to rumors. I think Amazon. It might be part of the same collection that the Pterosaur is.
would be cool if we
I
get
would.
that.
Oh, I'm going to buy that in a heartbeat. Like, imagine getting G1 Grimlock and Beast Wars Grimlock in the same year.
Yeah.
Like, that's dream come true right there.
I would almost venture to say that Grimlock is like the second most. I think Grimlock's more popular than like Megatron and Soundwave. Like, he's probably right there underneath.
Probably because he's a good guy, and with kids, the good guys tend to be the most popular, tend to sell better. So, probably.
But I would say for figures that I would love to see is hands down the Omnibots. We need modern versions of those Omnibots.
See, because I want the throttle bots.
Well, we can get those too.
Why not both?
But the Omnibots on my list is the top one. Yeah, so because those three could be retooled from like Sideswipe, Prowl, Wheeljack now with the Battle Chargers, just kind of figure out something. But I would like a Cybertronian version of them rather than them go full Earth mode cars.
Are those
the
G
done that? Yeah. So they were mail away figures.
Are those the originals, Aaron, right there? Wow, that's a hell of a find. That's awesome.
I'm missing the silver one. I think camshaft is the other one.
Yeah. The actual camshaft, the car that doesn't have a camshaft in it is called camshaft.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, because on the throttle bots end, I have 4 of them, and my brother has 2 of them, so we have the entire set of 6. I
could have done.
You have to kill him and take his. There can only be one. Only one collector.
That's funny. They did the MicroMasters, and they basically recreated Wide Load and the Jeep roll bar. So I ended up just getting the MicroMaster versions of them last month. So.
Nice. Yeah, and they had that. What was it? The one that was, I don't remember if it was Power of the Primes or Titan's Return, but it was Roadburn was supposed to be one of the. I think it was not Freeway, not Chase, but the one I always not search for. No, it was Chase.
I think it was Chase.
Yeah, Chase.
Chase.
Yeah. So they kind of know about the throttle bots, but they don't seem to make them like a thing, even though they would have fit perfectly with Earthrise. But not just Omnibots and throttle bots, but the same thing with as Transaaron was saying is that like because we talked about it earlier on another live stream is like the train bots.
Yeah.
There was no Titan announced for Earthrise, and we didn't know that Scorponok was going to kind of be like kind of almost the last before Unicron and possibly the Arc, right? We didn't know about the Arc yet at the time, so I was like, why don't they make an Autobot Titan that's kind of similar to how Devastator is and make it kind of that smaller version, right? And then you have to buy them all, or they can all come in one set. And so that would have been kind of a cool, you have your Scorponok and then you have your new one, right? So I think that would have worked out really, really well because they could have all been wager price points except for maybe a couple of them. But I think that would have been a great idea to have an Earthrise because the set that they had, I think it was New York or San Diego Comic-Con. I always get those mixed up which one they were at. But they had like a refinery base with like the mountain and everything. Like they could have had a train track go around that. Because Transaaron has an awesome collection setup with his train track and a mountain and everything. And that's kind of like what they could have done and add in like the rail bots and call them rail tie and spike
give them some new generic names. You know what I mean? It wouldn't matter.
Yeah. It wouldn't matter because we'd get those, like, I mean, and they could use the Rail Racer, the Rail Spike, and Midnight Express, whatever they wanted to do there, instead of calling them Getsui or, Yukikazi. Like, none of that stuff makes any sense for translation over unless they're called Whirlwind or Windburn or something. Or Windburn, they could have used that because that's also a Transformer trademark. But they could have done stuff like that. They just didn't do it that way. Because I was thinking they were going to re-release the Constructicons for Earthrise because they're Earth vehicles, but that didn't happen. So,
well, just like the Micromasters, they give us all the Micromaster. I'm surprised they didn't give us Micromaster combiners, like the 6-liner, the construction team, and what was it, the plane one?
They had the planes, the construction 6-liner, the rescue patrol ones that ended up getting turned into like a new Defensor in the universe. I forget what they're called.
They haven't finished the military patrol, and like they just a lot of those unfinished ones for those four, the 4-pack groups and stuff. But all that said, I would love to have a G1 cartoon, modern, accurate Metroplex. We 100% need a new Metroplex.
Yeah, he's the most.
Japan has reissued.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, and like they have reissued that. What was it? The IDW Metro. It's the one design of Metroplex that was an IDW for one comic, one issue, and then they went G1 with all the other issues.
Yep.
But the long-legged Metroplex, and then they tried to follow Cybertron it, which it wasn't. It's totally not a full Cybertron. And then they were like, oh, well, you were definitely going to make Fortress Maximus. That's why he's got long legs. But, so I get that part of it. But, they're not going to reissue it. I understand that. Great. Give us a smaller one that works with the Titans Return Trypticon. I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
And that's very, very rarely do I ever say, give me something smaller.
Well, if they make it smaller, they can make it better too, right? Like if they're going to keep it at the Titan price point,
Right.
just make it much more fleshed out because, the new Titans, most of them lack a lot of the features that the G1 versions had. So if they want to downsize them to like Trypticon size, that's fine. That gives them the freedom to, make them sturdier, more posable, better transformation, and more weapons, more accessories. So I'd be all for that.
Remember when, Beast Hunters and Transformers Prime, at the tail end of that, they had made the Terracons. So they had made them all super small, little Legend size, smaller than Legend, like Legion, whatever they were calling them.
Yeah.
And then they took a couple of them, Cutthroat and the other one, they I think Center Twin, they upscaled them. And they were a horrible upscale. You thought Hasbro had gone KO on themselves.
I was about to say they were knockoffs, yeah.
Yeah, but they were selling. I was like, okay, so I understand it. You upscaled them. That's hilarious and really weird. But why did you not re-engineer better pieces into them? Because if you're going to cut steel, it's not 3D printed. It's not where you can just make the model larger, right? To cut steel, you have to, take that design. It has to, be laser cut and all that stuff into the metal plate. And it's just why would you upscale something that wasn't going to work at a bigger? It didn't make any sense to me.
Plus, they released 2 of the 5 members, so what was even the point?
Exactly.
Why?
So you couldn't even combine them.
I would have loved a full size Abominus from Prime, because that's the only reason I didn't buy Abominus for myself is I don't collect the Legion scale stuff. It just mainline.
See, I got them all, and they were cool, and I got that weird colored playset. But nowadays they're worthless. You know, what am I going to do with? They don't work with anything. I mean, the Terracon. I mean, maybe if you have a giant, a giant Unicron head, maybe you could put him on a platform around there, on his cheek or something, because the Terracon showed up in the show. But honestly, that's not really a cool set.
Yeah,
so,
it's pretty lame.
But I will say, the Power of the Prime's Abominus, I got that one right, and then they're reissuing it. The Takara Tomy exclusive one with better color and stuff like that. And so that one, that I have that on pre-order from Hasbro Pulse. I also have another Pit of Judgment set from Hasbro Pulse. Who knows when we're going to get those, but at least they're pre-ordered. Yeah. So those are kind of the immediate future of the next stuff that I'm getting. But I really want to see what this arc looks like. 'Cause I'm going to get it no matter what, because it's an official arc. But I'm curious as to if they're, how it's going to look. Is it really going to be fold out panel Pringles so that you can have little play sets inside for the little core class ones, or how is this all going to work? Because you can't just make it just a ship and a robot. Because if they were going to do that, they should have done animated Omega Supreme. Because
that's why they have panels for that, so you can actually connect these bases to them too.
Yeah.
Yep. They should have that too. Yeah.
Hopefully it has a fold-out kind of base mode where everything kind of opens up and lays out, and that'll really help them connect to the bases and let you interact with the figures more, so it's not so cramped in there.
I mean, haven't all the Titans, with the exception of Devastator and, Omega Supreme to kind of a lesser extent, but haven't they all been triple changers? So it's possible. They've had some kind of playset or battle station mode.
Yeah, I think I think they all have at least 3 modes as far as the full size city former Titans. Yeah. Not always very good ones. The Metroplex and Fort Max modes are just them laying down basically, but
Yeah.
especially Fort Max.
Jay Hollis says in chat, I believe Studio Series will eventually make a G1 Devastator. That would be awesome. Not reissue the Devastator. This may actually be why they've reissued the Titan Devastator. So they can go and make money off that mold and then re-engineer those to be even better.
I had
That would be
heard,
nice.
I heard a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently they were at least looking at redoing Devastator for Studio Series 86. I mean, personally, I'm really good with the one that we got, specifically the Unite Warriors version. That's like more posable and has the weapons.
Yes,
Like
that's
that's.
the one I
wish I would have gotten that version back when it was like affordable, because I'm so disappointed with the toned down version we got on the US side. That if they just released Unite War, in fact, when they said they were reissuing it, I was like crossing my fingers, like, please do the better one, release the better version. I'll pay more for it. Like I'll pay $200 for it. I'm good with it. But they didn't. They just gave us the crappy one again. So yeah, a proper Magnus we need. Magnus, like, they're going to do another Magnus within the next 3 or 4 years, just to make us all pissed that we bought the Kingdom one. They're going to do it.
Well, see, even like the original Combiner Wars, like Devastator, that was a leftover. It was like I don't know how you call it, like a working. They were kind of like a working template because the reason why it's Masterpiece scale is because it was going to be a Masterpiece Combiner.
Yeah.
And they stopped short of it because they were like, hey, we got this Combiner Wars. We're doing this series. Why don't we just take this and put it over here and we can stop working on it? That's why it looks, certain things are unfinished, articulation, things like that. And then Takara kind of went in and said, let's add a little bit of elbow joints here and there for Scrapper and a Mixmaster. But it still looks unfinished. I mean, they did something. They gave them individual weapons, things like that. So
I'm actually I was shocked how similar everything works out with him to the original G1 toy. Like, when you look at the way they combine and come together, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar. And I didn't know that because I didn't have G1 Devastator for the longest time until they did that reissue. And then I got him and I was like, wow, this is almost like my Combiner Wars toy. Like, just way.
Yeah, they added a little bit more, like how Hook connects on top of Long Haul.
Yeah.
They added a little bit more security there because the original G1 toy, you just blow on it and it falls apart.
Yeah, that's why I just leave him on the shelf and don't touch him, because he just crumbles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how hard do you blow Crimson?
Real hard.
Depends on how much you pay.
but how much you pay? Yeah, that's good. Oh yeah, that's a better answer. I like that. But no, like I would say, like, Devastator would be really cool to have. I would like that in the Studio Series, heavily articulated, and they don't just have to make one version of it. They can make a Diaclone version of it. They can make a G2 yellow one of it, a G2 orange one of it, right?
Yeah.
So there's like four different versions of that released right then and there.
I'm still waiting on G2 Devastator and Defensor from Combiner Wars. Just waiting forever.
I think it's weird they didn't do Generation 2, but they did it for Minosaur.
Yeah.
Like, and they
did it for Bruticus.
They did it for Bruticus. Yeah, they did it for Bruticus, and they did a Baldigus, which is the Ruination from Car Robots. So
and Superion, he got the G2 treatment. That literally everybody but those two got the treatment. Hey,
it's very
not cool.
It's very strange.
Love G2.
Jada's like, nobody likes G2.
We're gonna fight.
See, I may not be a G1er. I'm the G2er.
I hate the colors of G2. I made an exception for Menosaur, and that was it.
No, that's why I love it, because it's so absurd. I just love the sheer 90s absurdity of G2.
Hey,
like, they look terrible. That's why I like them.
You put on a jacket with purple camo, and nobody will pay attention to you. I'm just saying. Like, it really does work. Purple camo makes you invisible.
Yeah. I am mad that they didn't use the shuttle blast off mold for the G2 Bruticus, because like that's always going to feel incomplete to me now. Like, it was so good, except they used the jet mode one, even though I think by that point the shuttle mold had been done. They just didn't use it.
Wait, well, they released an exclusive one.
Yeah, they did like the regular brown G1 shuttle mode one for Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
but they never did that in G2 colors, even though I think that mold already existed by the time they released the G2 like box set. And
you're right.
It always feels off because now it doesn't feel like a proper G2 one. It's like a
they never did
G2
do that.
IDW Bruticus. And I had hoped maybe because this was like right before Selects came out, right? Like the Amazon exclusives were kind of the precursor to Selects. And I thought like, it'd be so easy. Just throw a Selects blast off out there. The Space Shuttle mold, G2 for the people that got the Bruticus but want like the right one. And even he could have come with a little sticker sheet to replace the G1 Decepticon symbols that they accidentally left on Bruticus. Because that was an accident. I actually asked the designers about that at Final BotCon, like, hey, why is he different? And they're like, oh crap. He's like, why? They're asking each other like, why is he different? They're like, whoops.
Well, because they'd already had the tampos set up for the other Bruticus, right?
Yeah. So
and like that people are complaining now, but they kind of understand now. But like when they did the BotCon G2 Ramjet and Starscream, like they have G2 symbols on them. Well, people were upset back then because they were like, well, why do they have a G2 symbol when the G2 toy had the original Decepticon symbol? Because they hadn't quite transitioned over to G2 symboling. And then they come out with the G2 Ramjet now for Earthrise with that mold, and like people complain about, well, why does it have the regular G1 symbol on it when the BotCon one didn't? I was like, well, you need to look at the original toy, and it has regular Decepticon. So they're doing what we want, right? But it's like you can't please everybody. You never can.
Like me personally, I prefer that a G2 character uses the G2 symbols, whether or not the toy did, but it's not that big a deal. The only one that bothered me was Bruticus because he should have had the new symbols. He just didn't. They oopsied on that.
Well, even Generation 2 Optimus Prime had like on his back leg, he was stay at the G2 and said Autobot, Optimus Prime. But then on his shoulders, where he has the stickers that you would apply, like those had the original G1 Autobot symbols because that's important to that character. So
is that the G2
that kind of stuff makes it
on Ramjet? Oh, looks like he did have the G2 symbol.
Well, the original G2 Ramjet came with that. You did buy that brand new, right, Transaaron?
No.
Oh, so did somebody add it later?
Yeah. So somebody's added that later on.
Okay.
Yeah, because they had the original G2 one had like a massive G1 Decepticon symbol, like it was obscene.
Good old G2 absurdity right there, garishness and everything.
Because Bruticus is illin because he's a villain. No, it's Big Bad. Wait, is it Big Bad battling
the Big Bad battling Bruticus? Yep.
Yeah, and there's Dreadwing, and Dreadwing's twice as deadly.
Those commercials were obnoxious. They're so loud. Make my ears bleed.
Awesome.
Okay, so I was trying to find, the things I would like to see is like Perceptor, a new Perceptor, and I'm trying to find the one that I'm looking for here.
That Takara Legends one is really good though. Looks very much like the cartoon and not like the toy.
I guess I'm not gonna find it because I want a new Windblade. I feel like she's the only female maybe missing other than Nautica.
We need a Nautica so bad.
Yeah. Misfire and Aimless, the Headmaster. Topspin and Freeze out the Headmaster. There's one other, I cannot remember its name for the life of me. I always forget the third one in that set. But
Slugslinger?
No, I have Slugslinger. Okay. Fudge. I cannot remember. I think he has a drill on the front. Huh?
Oh, no. Wait.
Twin Twist?
Wait, which one are you
Twin
talking about?
Twist. Or maybe it's Twin Twist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, I'm going to go search for it real quick to make sure that is the one I'm thinking of. I believe so. I missed out on them. They're still going for $100 online, and it's absurd. But, it's no longer listed on Amazon. Poops. Oh, well. Not that I was going to buy it. But, that is kind of... I already read off the list of the ones that were rumored that I expect to get, that I anticipate to get. But then there's some things where, like, let's say they decided to do a Waspinator. I have the Thrilling 30s Waspinator, which is probably the best Waspinator ever. Okay, Aaron doesn't agree. I don't care.
I like it.
No,
I think
it
it's
is the best thing.
fantastic. So unless they do
is
something astounding with a new Waspinator, I wouldn't get it. You know, he's a nice deluxe Waspinator. He's a little bit bigger because, you know, he's an older deluxe. But I think he's a good Waspinator. Now, if they come out with a Waspinator that comes apart like Cup, I will be on it.
Right.
That's
That's probably
the only way you could make it better than Thrilling 30. Just make them fall apart.
Exactly. That would get me to invest in another Waspinator.
I actually don't know how they're going to improve on the Waspinator and Rhinox, because I thought Thrilling 30 just nailed them. I really don't know if you can do better than those.
Ankle pivot is pretty much about it.
That's about it. Yeah, like ankle tilt. That's like literally the only thing you can make better. And the problem is they've gotten so cheap with the toys. I don't think they'll even make one as good as like the Voyager Rhinox. That was a very fleshed out toy. Well, lots of moving parts, the guns, you know. We're probably going to get something inferior to that, in all honesty.
Okay, so we are, because this last topic blew us through the 90-minute mark, but we are
Only an hour past that. No big deal.
we are an hour past it.
Right.
So the connection's getting worse because of the weather outside. So we're gonna wrap this up, and just a reminder: next month, right now we have no topic planned. And I think the two guests I have at least are Gotbot, aka Dennis Moulton, as well as the Lazy Eyebrow. So working on that, it will be hosted and the chat will be on the TF Reviewers channel, because that's where the future ones are going to be unless they're guest hosted by somebody else. And so keep an eye out for that. I'll make a posting sometime next month in April. I'd like to thank the guys for showing up here, and starting with Sam, go ahead and tell people how they can find you again, and then we'll move through the group.
Alrighty. So, naturally, you can find me on my YouTube channel, TF Collector, and also on Facebook at facebook.com/TFMR Collector. Instagram is TF_collector_net. And then I'm on Twitter for some reason. Still haven't figured out why I'm wasting my time there. But
none of us know that. None of us know the answer to that question.
I have like zero growth. I've had a Twitter for like at least 2 years now, and I think I've got like 14 followers. Like I just don't know how to bother. But it's if you want to find me on Twitter, it's TFMR_collector. And then I am on the 3 fan sites, Sabertron.com, Tformers.com, and TFW2005.com as Lorekeeper. So if you see some, asshole named Lorekeeper complaining about toys and forums, that's me. Getting in fights with people sometimes.
Wow, there's only one person on the internet who complains about that stuff?
Well, so I'm like really mellow. I am like the most milquetoast person, and like my hot takes would be like, oh, I kind of don't like that. And then someone like, screw you, man. You know what you're talking about. And like it becomes a fight, and I'm like, I was just talking, but I guess we're fighting now. And like before I know it,
Rumble is blue, Frenzy is red.
Rumble is red, Frenzy is blue. Okay, go ahead, Sam. Sorry for interrupting.
No. I was laughing. I was trolling people one time because they were actually like fighting over that. I'm like, we all know like Rumble is yellow, Frenzy is green. And they're like, "What are you, an idiot? You don't see Transformers?" I'm like, yeah, because I'm obviously not joking.
Those are the G2 colors.
The G2 ones under release. You guys don't know about that? Get on my level, scrubs. But it's so weird. Like I simultaneously love and hate TFW 2005. So that it's by far the most active forum in all of them. Like gets the most interaction. So I like that about it because there's lots of interaction, but it's so toxic. Or at least, some of the people there, I won't bash the whole site, but some of the people there, they're ready to fight. Like they just looking for a reason to put people down or argue with them. I'm like, look, man, I'm not here. Like I'm a teddy bear. We can all get along if you just chill.
Real quick, I read this and I swore I read occasional Korean butt plug.
What?
What? Yeah, a Korean butt plug. What is that? Like, how is that different from an American butt plug?
It's cheaper.
It's cheaper.
A knockoff one.
It's probably a high quality knockoff.
Okay,
Wow.
Sam, you have anything else going on in your rant?
Oh, I mean, God, if you let me, I'll talk around your off all night. That's about it. Just look for me there. I love interacting with people. It's always on the forums, and maybe we can troll some people together and get people over colors of toys.
I know this guy named Kato. You need to really hook up with him because I think you two would be a great ranty. You'd be the Waldorf and the guys from the Muppets that sit in the balcony.
Oh, the two old guys?
Yeah, I think you and Kato would be perfect. Okay, Aaron.
Backhanded compliment.
Aaron, your turn. Tell people about where they can find you.
Okay, well, anyway, you guys can find me on Instagram and YouTube as Transaaron38. I post pictures on Instagram, a lot of pictures, and share a lot of funny stuff on there as well. And YouTube, like I said, I do video reviews and Transformer reviews, Ghostbuster stuff, and you name it, a little bit of everything on my YouTube channel. So, like I said, I do have a Twitter, just like TF Collector said. Is like I don't know why I have a Twitter. I don't know. So it's like, but I don't get on there. I don't worry about it anymore. But yeah, that's where you guys and gals can find me.
Yeah, I don't know
Okay.
what it is with Twitter. Mildly successful on like every other platform, then Twitter is just a dead zone.
Crimson.
I need to get more political, and then they'll start caring what I say.
Yeah. There you go.
Trans rights,
I
boom,
guess that's-
followers.
I guess that's why they have a big thing about that. Like, yeah, trans rights, and then you actually mean Transformers, and they're like, huh?
I'm here to talk about trans issues. Transformer issues.
Yeah, because I've been asked twice, like, what should I name my channel? I've been like, TF. And like, but I was thinking trans. Unless you're established, that gets into a territory you may not want to have to explain.
Yeah. Well, it's like when I try to do a hashtag at the end of a Twitter post, and I was like hashtag Transformers just for tagging, and always like hashtag it's like trans rights, trans sports. I'm like Transformers. So like it's like they're begging me to get political. I'm like, I'm not doing it. I won't do it.
Can't trick me. Okay, Crimson, go ahead. Tell people where they can find you.
Well, kind of a little bit on that, though, was like there used to be a website back in the day called transfan.com.
I remember that.
Yeah, the guy that had the website, like, he really liked Omega Supreme and had, like, really good art of versus Devastator and stuff like that. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm a trans fan. And so, like, over time, that's changed, right? So
I don't judge, bro.
but I still use...
Love's love.
Yeah, but still use hashtag trans fans, and it gets attention, and then they're like, "Oh, Transformers toys," like. So, I don't know. I think that hashtag can still work. That said,
We should all
you
start.
can find me on. We should hashtag trans fan. That said, you can find me on Twitter for really no reason at all. You can find me on YouTube because that's where all my stuff is at. You can find me on Instagram because it's kind of cool there, real community. I post updates and stuff, a little story thing, and I figure out how it works sometimes because I keep changing stuff because it's evil, because it's part of the evil Facebook, but whatever. Instagram's a good community. You just got to be careful what you type in the messages because then Facebook records all that information. Anyway,
I saw that.
So, yeah. but that's where you can find me at Crimson, like the dark red color. Raptors, Raptors. That's where you can find me. And some stuff's really coming up here on the YouTube. I have been pretty much kind of away from it for a little bit because of, it's just collecting so much other stuff. I've been busy at work. Really, since Christmas, I've just kind of hit the ground running, and it's just been so busy in my professional life of it that it's kind of affected over to like some of my spending time on my own. But Kato. But yeah, so definitely that's going to pick up. I actually have 4 stop motion animations that need sounds applied to them. Otherwise they're all shot. I just haven't uploaded them There's several reviews I have, including a hot rod review. I'm telling you, I would have been the first hot rod review that was not stolen from the factory. I would have been the first one, but because of computer problems, I wasn't, and so I didn't upload it. But that's okay. So, but you don't always have to be the first. You just got to be, like you got to make that video that you want to watch, right? That's really what's kind of really to it. So, but that's where you can find me. And Anthony, where can I find you?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out what Aaron's doing. Like, I'm sending you messages through the telegraph line, and I don't know what Aaron's doing. Anyway, Anthony from HashlageNet, again, at HashlageNet or at HNE Games on YouTube. Also, our website's haslage.net. And just a reminder, again, next live one will be on TF Reviewers channel next month. You can find that on YouTube. You can also look for TF Reviewers on social media. And they're all linked to the website somewhere, so whatever. Yes, Kato, if you ain't the first, you were the last. So, so unless there's anything anybody else wants to talk about real quick, I think we're going to wrap it up here. It's about 10 to 11 p.m. Eastern time. Sam told us at the beginning that he's only up on caffeine, and his cup ran out almost an hour ago. So yeah, I don't know how much longer he has.
Me. I'm having fun, so I'm like wide awake right now.
We can ruin that.
Yeah, it was a rough day. My wife woke me up at like 2 in the morning. Like, oh my god, let me tell you about this book I read. I'm like, oh yeah. So I couldn't go back to sleep. So I've been up since 2, and I've been like running on fumes all day. But like sitting down and doing this, I don't know if it's like the energy drink or just the fact that I'm having fun. But now I'm like wide awake. I'm ready. Let's do this. 2 more hours. We got this. Let's go.
Oh, dude! Like last time, Crimson and I were still going at 4.5 hours, and I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah, I start losing my voice.
I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can do that again. I'll have to refill. Oh wait, I do have a refill. Never mind. I thought my cup was empty.
Yeah, because I just ran out a little too, so I definitely would.
Kato.
Okay, so since we can kill about 10 more minutes, because my butt's starting to get numb, because I was doing video editing before we started on this, so it's not a fresh sit here. Anybody have any questions for anybody sitting here? Also, don't forget to like and subscribe all their channels, and send them nude pics. So don't forget.
Nude pics?
Nude pics.
Whoa.
Send nude pics?
Send nude pics.
Send nudes.
No
dogs, please.
RC. Just RC. Just the nudes of RC. I'll accept that.
I doubt there are any women in this conversation, but you know what? We'll see what we can get.
RC is so vanilla, man. Send like some nudes of Strika, you know?
Ooh, a nice
Show us pictures of Black Arachnia and RC without their chest plates.
Actually, yeah,
no, you want Black Arachnia's chest plate. What are you talking about?
If you get the RAD RC, you can take off her chest plate.
Hence the comment.
It does come off. It does. I don't know why it comes off. It doesn't do anything. It's just like gears underneath, but it does. At least Cheetor's made sense because it's like a cheetah head, but hers is just like her chest off, like reasons. Richard picks incoming. Lil Richard?
It says Uncle Rick.
Uncle Rick. Pickle Rick. It's Pickle Rick.
We're gonna get
little green,
Ricks.
little bumpy.
Whoa, if it's green and bumpy, you got to see a doctor, man. Go look at Ratchet. Go find Ratchet.
It was wartime. Things were different then. She was a lovely lovely young woman that I from Saigon.
If you didn't use it, you were going to lose it, right?
Now I'm in danger of losing it now.
Don't use it, my fall.
You ever see Ready to Rumble, like that wrestling movie? It's like, I hope his diddly turns black and falls in the crapper. I want to voice act. That's what I want to do. That's my calling.
But
I want to do voice
what?
acting.
Oh, here. As I say, Sam,
What?
what videos do you have coming up so people can, go check out your channel in the future here?
Well, I can name them, but I cannot guarantee a time frame or if I'll ever get around to them because I am perpetually behind on everything.
Well, we know Unicron.
Yeah, Unicron has to be the next one up because he's literally just blocking everything else from getting reviewed at this moment. So he will be the next one, and it's gonna. It's
Quickie
gonna be
question:
my,
what did your wife say when a huge ass box showed up and it wasn't in a refrigerator?
She knew it was coming. I haven't shut up about it since I got the email that it was coming. She knew, but it still did not prepare her for the just sheer enormity of it. She's like, "Oh my god!" She's like, "How much did you spend on that?" I'm like, "Well, it's best not to dwell on the past." And she said, "Okay" at the time. Regret?
Remember that house payment I didn't make?
I traded for it, honey. I traded some figures.
Yeah. I found it on the road. Actually, I almost didn't get Unicron because as awesome as he is, like $600 was still asking a lot for like anything. I almost didn't get him, and it got toward the very end of the backing period. And I just happened to get a bonus because I just started a job, and a few months in, I finally got my bonus. So I'm like, well, it's now or never. Like, I still don't think it's worth that much, but if I miss out, I'm never going to get this. So I bit the bullet.
Well, it's not worth the 2,000 that they're selling.
Oh,
for
definitely
right
not. Yeah, there's no toy on earth that's worth.
I found somebody selling one on eBay for $320 with $50 shipping, but I feel like he bought it and then his wife said, "Oh hell no."
I don't know.
Yeah.
You should have bought it. I think if you bought it and like appealed, we would have all like chipped in like a community potluck to like help fund it for you. Because at that deal, you should have gotten it.
Yeah, I have no place for it, and I made a joke on the Discord. I'll charge $10 a month, and I will store your Unicrons in my shed. You just have to pay shipping and handling. You can have it back as many times as you want, but you still pay me the $10 a month just to have the space for it.
All right. So as far as reviews, God, I have so many. I still got a review of Rack tonight. He's the only new deluxe I haven't done for Kingdom. I think that's it for Kingdom. Then that's all caught up. I've got the remaining Netflix Wave 2 I haven't done yet. The Wave 2 Headmasters that I just got that are still in box. Some Cyberverse stuff. Cyberverse is always like bottom priority, so if they ever get released, they'll be like after all this stuff's done because nobody ever watches my Cyberverse reviews, honestly. But I have like all the remaining deluxes, and then I have a couple of like the new Warriors that are actually pretty decent. And the remaining crossovers. I still got to do Ectotron, Maverick, and Expanse.
Have you played with Maverick at all, or is it still in its package?
I have, and you know what? I'm actually surprised by how much I like it. Like, it's actually a really good transformer. It's weird looking. It takes some getting used to because it doesn't look like your typical G1 transformer. Almost more movie-verse. And I do not like Tom Cruise. I resent Tom Cruise with a passion for a number of reasons. And I've never seen Top Gun, so I have no attachment to this at all. So I bought it just because I had bought all the other ones, and I felt like I might as well. And I ended up really liking it. I was shocked. I'm like, this is a solid transformer. And the tolerances are good. It's good. It kind of reminds me of, older Transformers, like maybe something from 10 years ago or so. But that's not bad because those were pretty solid figures too. So yeah, I was shocked.
It's just not worth $60.
No, it's not. It's way overpriced.
Because I think if it dropped to like 30, I probably would get it.
Yeah, it's not worth $60 at all. That's just the upcharge because for some reason all the crossover figures are more expensive than they should be.
Well, licensing is a pain.
Yeah. I think that's it after that. I think at that point I'd be all caught up if I could ever get all that done. And I'm on my week off now. I get a week off every 4 weeks, so that's like the trade-off for working all the time. So maybe if I can have the will and time to get it done, we'll see if I get caught up. So yeah.
Okay. So Aaron, what do you have coming up?
I got plenty of reviews coming. I just got Netflix Cheetor to do. I got the red Cheetor to do, and I got that rescue, the Metropolis rescue to come. And what other crazy stuff? I have no idea. Probably Micro Machines, because I like Micro Machines. So I got to do probably end up doing a couple of the old school Ghostbuster figures. Or really half tempted to open these extreme Ghostbuster figures that's on my card. They're mint on sealed card. I'm like this close to wanting to open them, the extreme Ghostbusters. So I don't know.
Okay, Crimson, what do you have coming up?
I would say if you got the display room for them, go for it, dude.
Not really.
Yeah, Steve. Well, so I have a couple animations coming up here pretty quick. One of them I probably really need to work on more than the other one, but I like funny stuff first. You know, I don't know. I don't want to be the one that does like a lot of parody animations, but that is, if it makes me laugh, I think it'd make others laugh usually. That said, I do have reviews that are on the docket, like I mentioned earlier. I have bought a ton of add-on parts from TF Safari, from eBay, from a lot of different sources, and it's just I have the figures for them. I got them specifically for that. It's just getting time and space and getting all the figures lined up to put those parts on them, as well as filming those reviews, getting comparison shots, things like that. It takes a lot of time. So I've been kind of devoting all that to just cleaning my office first, and then that way I'll have all the space to do all of that. So, but those are some of the stuff I have shot, but I also need, so like, it's not like the entire video, right? So like there's like pickup shots that I do, because I don't do it all in one fell swoop. Because there'll be certain times where like, okay, I'll do this one, then I gotta change out parts, and then I'll take that video and stuff like that. So I got a lot of stuff down the pipe. It's just it's hard to figure out what's coming out first.
Okay, so tomorrow at noon, I have I believe it's a Pokemon mini doc. I released a couple weeks ago Transformers mini doc, and they're all about video games. So they're about previously released video games on consoles and PCs. Next week, Monday, I have the Ninja Turtle mini doc, again, about its video games. I also have, starting in April, I do the review of Omega Supreme and then Ultra Magnus, and then I'm waiting on my orders for Air Razor and Huffer to come in so I can do the reviews of these two guys. Because as anybody who's watched my videos, I do pair reviews because I'm not as thorough as Sam, and I'm not as quick as Bert is in some of these things. So I kind of just push them together and try to pad out a 15-minute video with just how to transform it and what I think about it. I'm not going to tell you how articulated it is. I don't care about that stuff as long as it looks good and it does what it's supposed to do, which is transform. I was trying to think of anything else I have going on. So basically, I think the interviews I have ended with Bert, I think, on Friday. So if you haven't seen Bert's interview, you should be checking that out. It's Bert the Stormtrooper. And I think for April, because I'm going to be working on a new project, I'm pretty much just going to have Wednesday videos, because typically I do Monday is something special that I think is creative. Wednesday is the typical review, and then Friday would be interviews. The only other thing I can think of that I'm probably doing is I have the Hyperkin Retron Square or Junior that plays Game Boy Advance, and Game Boy Color games. So that'll probably be something I would throw on a Monday coming up next month. So if you like retro video games, keep an eye on that. And that's pretty much all I have going. And with that said, again, you can check out these guys. Deluxe Baldwin and TF Addict didn't make it today. But you can check out everybody on the TF Reviewers channel. Their profiles are there. You just have to click the members and affiliates link and it'll take you to the full list of the 40 or so member channels, so you can check each of them out. Also, you can go to the TF Reviewers website to look everybody up individually, and it actually now displays everybody's social media. So, despite the fact that most everybody doesn't use Twitter, I do actively. You can actually check out everybody's Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, websites if they have them. So all that stuff, all that information is available on the website. Again, you can find the website on the TF Reviewers YouTube page. Don't forget to like and subscribe to everybody's stuff. And I think the easiest approach is just go down the list on the website, open up new tabs, and just like and subscribe. Just all the way down the pages. There are 2 different pages. You have to go through all 40 of them. And I think that'll work. So with that said, thanks for sticking around for about 3 hours. And again, next month, I guess TF Reviewers channel. And I'm rambling, so I'm going to end this here. See everybody later.